Defining Duke is brought to you by Cometeer. Cometeer is the first coffee you melt to make. It's delicious, quality coffee that's ready in seconds. Cometeer's freshly brewed coffee arrives flash frozen inside the world's first 100% curbside recyclable capsule. It's super simple to melt your way, hot or iced coffees, lattes, and so much more. No machines or expensive equipment needed. It's simply incredible, fuss-free, mess-free coffee. So Cometeer was kind enough to send me some product. And I decided to put the parents on the mission. They are big coffee drinkers. This is what they call their treat coffee. This is when they've had a tough day and they want to have a nice cup of coffee, hot or iced. And they love Cometeer. It's been such a game changer. Cometeer brings you the best coffee on the planet. It's incredible, but don't just take my word for it. Experience it for yourself and try the coffee you melt to make, brewed exclusively in partnership with award-winning roasters. And we've got a special deal for you. Save $20 on your first order when you sign up at cometeer.com/Duke. That's COMETEER.com/Duke. And we thank Cometeer for sponsoring this podcast. Defining Duke is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2022, why are you still paying an insane amount of money every month for wireless? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you maximize your savings with plans starting at just $15 a month. So I think it's time to make some business decisions, some cuts, and I'm really considering switching over to Mint Mobile to save myself some money. To get your new wireless plan for $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Duke. That's mintmobile.com/Duke. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Duke. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here, and welcome to episode 58 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. As always, I'm joined by the exclusive one, Lord Cognito.
So exclusive.
Bought and paid for.
Bought and paid for. Everything's exclusive out here. What's going on, man? Good to see you, man. First of all, we were a little under the weather. We missed you. You, man.
I'm kicking myself, dude. Like we were moments into our starting time, and ladies and gentlemen, without getting TMI, your boy had to go to the toilet, and oh man, it was not pretty. So I could not make the last DDU, but for those of you who did miss it, it was finally our Xbox One postmortem. Xbox had confirmed that the Xbox One's been out of production for a while. So Cog, thank you so much for taking the mantles on that episode. You invited Lord King into the building to take on the tough task of talking for 20 minutes positively about the Xbox One. But I was listening to the show today, man. You guys did a great job just covering everything the Xbox One generation encompassed, and even honestly informing me on some stuff I didn't know. The NFL stuff I completely forgot about. The fitness tracking from the Kinect. You guys did an excellent job with that episode. So for those who haven't checked it out, please give it a listen. Available on Patreon.
Brother. King was on fire. He definitely sends his regards. We missed the man. But I like that Purdue Boilermaker shirt. Mm-hmm. I know some Boilermakers, so I recognize that immediately.
Everyone thinks I go to the school. I don't. I'm just a fan. When I was at the doctor's today, they were just like, "So, you're
boiler up, bro.
Yeah, they're like, "You're a Boilermaker." I'm like, no, no. I have an associate's degree.
Shirt is fine though, because I got some Boilermaker gear. I'm with you on that.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Xbox podcast. We hope you're all doing well. We've got some interesting news this week on the front of, again, exclusivity involving Call of Duty and other big Activision franchises. We're going to talk about the revival of Scalebound, funny enough, hot on the heels of our Xbox One postmortem, so that couldn't have timed out any better, and much more to get into, like Ghostwire Tokyo gameplay, because this is now from Tango Gameworks, a Xbox first-party studio. Plenty more. Some great write-ins here. So thank you all so much for participating. For those who want to go a little bit further, sign up to the Patreon. We're over at patreon.com/laststandmedia, where you can get our shows for early access every Thursday. If you want to wait for it to hit free feeds, we're available on Sundays. Anyway, before we begin with everything else, want to follow up with Trent Miller one more time. The saga is concluded here, and you'll know why. Okay. We've had this big debate, for those who are tuning in, they're new here, about what's going on with the onion sandwich. We have a man who's been writing in about his father, telling us that he's effectively just laying a nice onion slice on bread and chowing down, saying that's it. So Trent Miller writes in, hello, my favorite onion podcast, son of the onion sandwich here. I wanted to clarify some things. The onion sandwich my father makes isn't even toasted. It's not a fancy grilled cheese either. I could get behind that. I thought he toasted the bread, but he informed me he doesn't. I've shown my family the clips of the show, but my father feels no remorse. He even let us know something more heinous. If he is the only one at home, he will, for lunch occasionally, slice a whole onion, fry it in a pan with butter, and that's his meal. One onion for lunch. Look, I like onion as well, but this is too far. I don't know what to do with this information. He's pretty set in his ways at this point, and I'm not sure there's really anything we can do to have this stop. Thanks, I'd have a no onion for my onion sandwich kind of day.
Normally, when I hear these types of transgressions, I usually have a saying like, who raised you? Right?
Yeah, right.
But in this case,
it's a generational issue now. The Miller family is fucked.
Bro, intervention time. You got to sit that man down. You're not living right. There's morals and principles to this. Principalities.
It's got to be dietary. There's got to be like a slice we're not getting here, right?
Yeah, it's got to be something we miss, because I refuse to believe that is the meal of choice.
Yeah, like no one's around. Maybe it's taboo almost. Like, this is such a wrong meal for me to have. Like, I got pasta, I got meat, but I'm going to slice up a whole onion, fry it in a pan with butter, and just eat that. The onion. Man, who's he kissing too? We got to talk about that too.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the hygiene aspect.
Yeah, that's offensive. But the reason why I say it's probably the end to it all is if he's that rude in his ways, and not only did he feel no remorse, but he's doubled down and laid another thing on top of it, another onion layer, if you will. That's got to be it. We got to let Mr. Miller go, let him do his thing, enjoy his onions. A salute to him with our right hand. I apologize to the audience. We were saluting with the left hand. So people were honest. I get it. That's the nature of YouTube, because we would have had to reverse the images.
The thing.
Yeah, we could have done that. That's our fault. Apologies. But salute to Mr. Miller for staying pat on his ways. And shout out to Trent for all the follow-ups. We appreciate that.
No doubt.
Let's get into games a little bit, though. Ghostwire Tokyo. The gameplay reveal has happened, as we talked about last week on the show. The release date of March 25th, 2022 was confirmed. How we feel about this one? A little gut check. You liking what you saw?
It's okay. I've still got to get my hand on it, man. It's one of those things I got to get my hand on it. But look, it's okay. I'm still a little bit holding on to the initial vision of it, and I don't know if I'm all the way sold on the new vision. But some people really feeling it. But of course, your boy knows where it's going eventually. And when it goes to Game Pass, I will check it out. But it's not a run out outside for me. But what about you? Did your opinion change? Are you like, yo, I'm in now? Like, I'm kind of feeling this.
After seeing it, I respect Bethesda a lot, because I think, especially when Ghostwire, they have now, I don't think it was well advised, but they've confirmed that this was supposed to be the Evil Within 3, which we're going to hear a lot of anyone who doesn't like this game detract it and go, we should have got that instead. But I respect Bethesda for letting Tango experiment here. Try something completely different looking. It's first person, set in this kind of open world-ish Tokyo, supernatural, a lot of Naruto jutsu symbols. This game's got a lot of flair, a lot of style. Beneath all that, though, I'm not sure how I feel, because
you like me then?
Yeah, looking at the all the supernatural figures in front of him, and he's like pointing his fingers at them, and they're all standing still, and he does this cool wire animation. Again, this is like something out of Naruto. I'm like, yo, that is a clean, like, hooking the string, pulling it, and yanking the souls out of them. Beautiful animation work. Salute to them on that. But I gotta say, man, Ghostwire Tokyo, it looked like there was no interaction in the combat. There was no intensity there. And I'm a little surprised by that, because I saw one of the lead, I think, gameplay designers for Doom Eternal was in on this game. Yeah. So, when I saw that, I'm imagining things will ramp up over time, but I'm not sure how to feel about Bethesda throwing this game out 1 month later now. Seeing it, laying my eyes on it, I like what I saw, but I'm not sure if this is the smartest move for the success of this game. Maybe it's time to get it out in Q1, we need to do that. It's been delayed long enough. This game is in development hell. It's probably time for them to wash their hands of it and move on to another project. That would be my assumption, but it already got little marketing. It disappeared for a while. It came back. Now they did their biggest gameplay reveal, and they're like, yeah, it'll be out next month. Something about that doesn't ring right to me.
There's another game that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
That's kind of got the same energy.
Not that I want it to be bad. Not that I expect it to be bad. I think Tango is a great developer. I loved the first Evil Within 1. I think the Evil Within 2's got some charm, even though I wasn't crazy about it. So I'm not feeling like this is going to be bad. But if what I saw is representative of the final product, where it's like that little interaction in combat, I don't know. But now we're seeing more and more. Bethesda's turning into that first-person publisher. It's another first-person game from them, right? Doom, Wolfenstein, now Ghostwire Tokyo. So very surprising moves. Of course, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, they like their first persons.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Another little blip here on the radar is from Tamine Antionades, who's over at Hellblade studio head. I'm sorry, Ninja Theory, not Hellblade. He's talking about Hellblade, though. He says, quote, "The goal with Hellblade 2 isn't to perfect it, but to create an experience that feels more believable and more refined. Its ambition in terms of scale is bigger. I think Hellblade 2 will make Hellblade look like an indie game," end quote. Not really newsworthy, but definitely wanted to just skim over the top of this and acknowledge it. How are you feeling about the ambitions of Ninja Theory?
Super strong. They are one of the graphical fidelity studios that I feel that Xbox Game Studios has in tuck. So I like that. I like hearing that. And people know how I feel about Hellblade. I felt they punched above their weight. It looks phenomenal. And if they're talking this way, I'm excited. That's one of my highly anticipated titles for sure.
Yeah, I like the idea of them creating something more believable and refined, because that seems to be, when you look at the photogrammetry they were doing for, I think it was Iceland is what comes to mind. They went to like 40 different locations, teaching the combat animators and the lead actress some type of weapon training for 2 years. There is a level of them trying to create a believable experience here. I'm wondering if, I got to also play devil's advocate with myself, even for the sake of just a funny conversation point. Could we be walking right into an Order 1886 moment here?
Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Come on. Not Order. You can't throw Order on it. Damn, Matty.
I was just thinking of the gameplay demo, how beautiful it looked, but how scripted it may have been. I was like, now we're talking believable guidance. I'm like, okay, like, are we walking this path?
Matty, that was a foul on the play. That's a flag on the field, which you just did. Throw a flag. Bro, at least they have a working, existing first version of the game, right? There's a part one to Hellblade that we could reference, as opposed to another game you reference that looked good, that there was no other outline, and we're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? And then we get it, we're like, yo, this is on rails. Let's go to, come on, man.
You can check me on that. I'm throwing it out there. We're focusing on realism, believability. I'm like, okay, that's not the first game to do it, but then you looked at the demo in tow, and I was like, okay. I wonder, what if? But I feel very confident about this one. It's stunning. So I'll happily laugh at myself in a couple of years.
No question. But I understand where you're coming from. All jokes aside, I do understand where you're coming from a marketing hype perspective. Like, what is he not supposed to say? Oh no, we're going for regular
anime.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand that. So we do have to be, we put that into consideration at least. I'll give you that.
Hot on the heels of us recording this episode, there was a Nintendo Direct, and they are good for many announcements. I thought the show was pretty solid. There were games like Live Alive, which is a game that pretty much inspired Octopath Traveler. It's finally getting localized. It never came to the West. It's also being remade. That's coming July 22nd. Some other notable ones, Chrono Cross was in the rumor mill for a while. It's getting a remaster April 7th. Star Wars The Force Unleashed is getting remastered. I leaked that on my own Discord, so shout out to everyone who was signed up there on the Patreon, because they were like, what do you think's going to come, Matty? I was like, I listed a bunch of obvious ones. I was like, Kirby, this, that. I was like, Force Unleashed port. They're like, what? Yeah. So
good call.
That's coming around. We also got Earthbound is back. That was kind of surprising to see. That was you and I were watching that together there. That was a pretty surprising one. Otherwise, Mario Kart 8 is somehow still getting DLC. We got a new Wii Sports game, Portal Collection coming to Switch. Kirby is now a car, effectively, in this new Kirby trailer. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the Nintendo realm. Anything stand out to you here, Cog?
Just, to me, they're just able because they're so successful, able to kind of pull from that Wii war chest. You know what I'm saying? Of all these franchises, like, oh, Wii Sports, here you go. It's just resource. And listen, there's a part of me that's like, damn, Nintendo, can you give us some new stuff? But there is stuff that they still are sitting on that they want the Switch generation. And it makes business sense for the Switch generation to take advantage of it. I get it. It's just that me and you, we're both watching the Mario Kart thing and we're like, okay, that's fire. But they're like, we never
I thought it was 9, man. I thought it was 9.
Yeah, like, I'm like, we're never going to get 9 at this point because they're going to give you all the tracks of every single one that ever existed. So we get it, Nintendo. It's all good. That's my only little thing. Other than that, yeah, strong show for the most part.
Agreed. Let's get into a quick correction from Connor Root. I wrote this down as a note, but this is a follow-up from a conversation we had last week about diversity of voice actors, where Connor took exception with the change of voice talent for Shadow Warrior 3. He writes, "Hey Dukes, not to harp on the topic again, but I have a tiny correction slash clarification about the Shadow Warrior 3 voice actor topic. The first voice actor, John William Galt, this is the one I mentioned when I was talking about this. He said, who you mentioned passed away recently, was only in the original 1997 game, not the 2013 reboot. Jason Liebrecht voiced Lo Wang in Shadow Warrior 2013 and Shadow Warrior 2, and could even be heard in a few trailers coming from Shadow Warrior 3. So yes, the voice actor has changed once in the series before, but Liebrecht was pretty established as the character before he got the boot for not being Asian. I feel like that fact strengthens Cog's point from last week even more. So I just wanted to go ahead and include that here because this was something that I ended up getting wrong last week. And I thought because of the sensitivity of the subject, we'll always follow up with our own corrections. But I wanted to make sure that, because it was a pretty core point to my argument, like, there was them switching out voice talent constantly, but I didn't realize there was actually an original series and this was a reboot. Yeah. So that was just me being uninformed. I pinned a comment on our show last week to make sure people who scrolled down saw that. And then I wanted to follow up here, make sure that was
grown man Matty. That's how we do. Grown man Cog too. That's how we do.
Yeah. So thank you for writing in, Connor. Appreciate the follow up. Let's move on to Jace Tumulovich. Matthew. Oh man, I'm
you know it's on my back. You got the full government calling.
Yeah. The government calling is here. So I thought we had a good show last week, but it looks like I had a rough week.
Let's go. What they want.
Last week, when talking about acquisitions, you said that PlayStation is already pretty much getting whatever Square Enix is releasing. It caught my ear because I've been desperately waiting to hear that Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default 2, Triangle Strategy, and the Final Fantasy Pixel Perfect remasters will be coming to PlayStation. I do not want Sony to buy Square and take these games away from other platforms, but if an acquisition could get them on the platform without removing them from anyone else, I'd take it. Square, do right by your old school kids, and let me get those sweet turn-based JRPG platinums. Gentlemen, have a your mom just yelled your full name kind of day, which Jason did that to me. So yeah.
Yes.
I respect the focus here because I was speaking broadly, but yes, this is very much fair. And
fair
in fact,
game.
Xbox got that Octopath and PlayStation doesn't, which is
that is surprising.
That continues to stun me. I'm just waiting for it to one day appear. I remember listening to Sacred Symbols, and Colin said when he saw it on Game Pass, he went over to his PlayStation to go buy it. He's like, oh yeah, I'll go play it. It wasn't there.
And this is good education for me. I didn't realize they didn't have it either. I assumed, you know what I'm saying, that it was over there. So I would have got caught out there. So again, thank you for the clarification there, Jace. That's what's up.
Absolutely. But now it's time for us to talk about what we're playing. Cog, let's start off with you. I think you and I can both check one off the list here at the same time with one game you're playing, one that you've been hotly anticipating. Let's talk about Sifu.
PlayStation Nation. This is for me. This is I'm gonna say something very, controversial, but I was more excited for this than Horizon's Forbidden West. That's how ridiculous I am with this. Like I come from that. I'm the gaming ninja. I come from the martial arts thing. For us, me, King, Sov, back in the day, what we would do is, how you guys have the anime. Back then, it was like you get these karate movies. These older movies. You pick them up. You buy like a set of 3 for $20, and we'd all come, and they'd all have these similar story tropes, which is like it starts. Master gets killed, saying some vicious way, some evil student betrayed someone, and then there's always someone left behind, the son, and then in this movie, they outright murdered the son, but we're going to get into that. But it's always the story of the training, the saga, the perseverance, the revenge. You killed my teacher, that type of thing. So Sifu hits me in all of those tropes. The art style I really like. It's very cool. I feel like a very Unity engine vibe. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. It feels Unity, but I could be wrong. I don't know if it's not. Maybe Unreal. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I do like the art style. It's simple, not over the top, but it gives you that essence, that core martial arts. And then you have the combo system, you have the block, and then the mechanics, the most unique mechanic, which is, okay, every time, it's very hard, but almost roguelike in a way, but every time you die, you age. You age, you come back a little stronger, a little slower, but the more you age, the more you die. You almost become like a glass cannon in the sense that, you really can get roughed up. And what's really cool is each level as you go on, like whatever you got to the next level, your youngest age, it kind of retains, right? So your goal is to kind of do better runs per. But I like it, man. I like it. I've been playing it for a little bit. I haven't got a chance to go super, super hard, but I killed the person who killed me, which I like. And nah, man, I'm feeling it. My only negative is I love it so much that I just wish they had a little bit more budget for
Right.
I want more story exposition as if it was, the big AAA hashtag just ones that Sony would have. To me, I get the vibe that Sony saw something good in this. They took a chance on it. I just hope people go out, support it, because if it gets a sequel, they get a budget. I think they got one, man.
Yeah.
What you think?
I loved this game. It really was an up and down roller coaster at first. I was watching shout out to Jake Baldino. I was watching his video, and I think he accurately put into words how a lot of reviewers were probably feeling, which is you hated the game. I was raging at it, which I don't know if that's like something people can imagine me doing, but oh my God, man, I was losing my mind over this game. Because here's the thing. With reviewing these challenging games before launch, you really got to know your shit. I don't know how else to put it. Like, you got to be able to look at a game and be like, am I fucking up? Is the game fucking up? Because you don't got that walkthrough online to see what's right and then go, oh, so that's what I was supposed to do. Did the game convey that properly? You don't have that shortcut there. So it's like on you to figure it out. And so you learn that this game is, I felt, not the best teacher in a lot of ways, but
Fair. That's fair.
when you graduate as a student, it is an amazing feeling nonetheless. So for me, the biggest thing I had issue with this game, I want to start off with it because it leads into my compliments, is Sekiro even, which is notoriously a very difficult game, gives you very specific visual cues for like when it's time to Mikiri counter, when you should go high, low, and the warm-up animations for those moves are telegraphed, not enough where it's in slow motion, but it's enough where you can read it and react and feel good about it. And that's coming from someone who, again, I'm not crazy about Sekiro, but this was the Sekiro experience that did click with me, Sifu. Because what'll happen is someone will be striking your gut, but it'll look like they're going for a low attack or they're going high. You can't tell because they all use the same color scheme for the attacks, no matter where they're striking you. So you got to just study the animations and practically memorize them in what I think is a very unconventional way. Because the game will say, when an enemy's going to push you or grab you, hold L1 and press down and you'll dodge it. But it's the same color that surrounds their hands when they're doing a grab is the same when they're doing a strike. So I can't tell. And that was one thing that was bugging me a lot, is this game is doing everything it can to keep you immersed, right? So that when you get into that flow and you're bobbing and weaving, going underneath everything, an incredible feeling. And that's what happens when I said you get to that mastering, you're like, okay, I know what you're going to do because I've memorized it. But it's not in sync, I feel, with what this game as a theme is about mastery. It's like, have I really mastered it because I memorized it, rather than mastering the mechanics where I see a low and I'm like, yeah, I'm muscle memory now. Like, so it's, again, a really great game, not the best teacher, but that's okay. It's this is where I feel like price, studio comes into account. We're talking about an indie team. By the way, I looked it up, Unreal Engine 4.
Thank you.
Indie team. They went from Absolver, this high potential game with PvEVP combat, that turned into this cult PvP game. They said they knew they had an idea there. And so they took it and they evolved it in Sifu. And yeah, it's going to come with some growing pains there. And I think overall they did an amazing job. Those little snags there, those bumps in the road aren't enough to stop the rolling train of Sifu for me. Like, I love the flow of this game once you get into it. And there is something to be said that while I don't think it's the best teacher, once you learn certain things, like, for example, when you're holding L1, you're doing the avoids, going left and right doesn't matter. I thought it did. I thought like, oh, he's coming into my left, I got to press right. No, I can press left and I'll just avoid. That's it.
Yep.
Didn't know that. So that's something that the game does tell you, I think, once, I want to say, but they don't specifically write out like, hey, it doesn't matter which way they're coming in, you'll just avoid it. It's the highs and lows that matter. So once you get that down and you start to familiarize yourself with a bit of a pattern, that's when you start to really feel like your skills gone up a level. And then it turns into those kung fu movies where you're avoiding counter strike and he's avoiding your counter strikes. It is a great feeling when you're in that rhythm.
Yeah, no, well said. And only thing I'll add on is, these are the type of indies I want to give. I know this is not on Xbox, but I want to give Sony their flowers in the sense that they have a knack of seeing the potential in something and saying, okay, we're going to lock this in and commit to it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, hey, Xbox guys, if this somehow does come and if it's a time exclusive, I don't know the mechanics behind the deal. But this is something. This type of game
said it's timed exclusive, but they didn't say like if where and when. Yeah.
This is one you want to hold on for. Sifu, they got one really fun, and obviously the last thing for me is always Destiny, and Destiny Witch Queen is approaching. They got the trailer, the hype train is going. They're gonna bring crafting. So right now I'm in my zone, just slowly getting back into my daily routine. So as I prep, because I'm gonna need all my materials, all my things. I don't want to be material broke when the new stuff comes. So that's where I'm at. But what about you? You got another one to play?
So I beat last night Trails in the Sky, second chapter. This is the second game in that little trilogy. Off my Trails grind for a little bit now for those who are curious, because I'm waiting for the Steam Deck to play the third game. So we'll get to that eventually. But effectively, Trails in the Sky, first chapter, second chapter are an entire story just split into two parts. And this game was really good. I really liked it. Again, with Trails, as always, a little bit of pacing problems, but this is a really character-driven story with some of the best JRPG combat that you can experience. And it's very amazing that this game came out in 2006. So I beat it in about 45 hours on Steam. That was with turbo mode. That would have taken me, because there has an in-game clock, which is tracking your hours in total. And then there's like the Steam clock, which is what you were actually playing. And my in-game clock was about 52 hours. So it shaves 8 hours off the experience, which when you look at the length of Sifu, I beat that in about 9 to 10. So there you go. So that's efficiency there. But yeah, it was a great game. It's hard to recommend Trails because it's such a commitment, but I think it's worthwhile if you got the time and you love JRPGs like I do. So I was playing that. And then I've been going back to Dying Light 2, man. I've been going back to this. This is
the bugs though. How you doing with the bugs?
Yeah, I've been, honestly, it's a lot of people have been saying it's good for them. For me, it's still a little buggy. But I'm glad to see that most people are having a better experience technically than I am. It's one thing I really hit on in my review. I was like, if this game gets working and it's good, or if you're having a good time and you're looking to spread the word, then that's great. But like the second that it seems like it's remotely working, like go out and get this game. And so that's good to hear that people are having a better technical experience. I think it's, in a way, a Cyberpunk situation, not in the extremity of it, but rather that this is a game that runs better on PC, for sure. I don't think the Xbox version's all that strong. And you can see a lot of the visual sacrifices they made, especially for console. But all that to me doesn't matter, because this game is so fun. It's beat-to-beat moments are so fun because of the systems that it's all built off of are unique. No other game's doing them right now. So it's just clicking with me. It's fresh. Like, I don't remember the last open world game I played and went like, oh man, I need to get back into that. Right? Normally I'm like, okay, done. See you later. What's next? Now I'm coming back and back and back. This, I keep coming back for some more. So shout out to Dying Light 2. Techland really did a great job with this. And you know what's amazing about this? I haven't even touched co-op. I haven't even messed with that.
That's the thing, man. I'm trying to get it for that experience only, because I want to play it kind of in the same way we talked about Sentinel, other things. Like, I want to try things in a co-op only because I'm the co-op guy, and to see if it really holds up. So I'm going to get to it. It's just been so much on my plate right now. And then Seafood came out, and I could only.
Oh, dude, that's like your thing. You've been talking about that for ages. How far are you, by the way?
I'm like maybe the second.
You're in the club.
Yeah, when you get to the club, and then now the different enemy types, and then the cornering, and they're getting really evil with it, and then they dash it away, and it's getting real now. It's getting real now.
Yep. Defining Duke is brought to you by Cometeer. Cometeer is the first coffee you melt to make. It's delicious, quality coffee that's ready in seconds. Cometier's freshly brewed coffee arrives flash frozen inside the world's first 100% curbside recyclable capsule. It's super simple to melt your way, hot or iced coffees, lattes, and so much more. No machines or expensive equipment needed. It's simply incredible, fuss-free, mess-free coffee. All right, so Cometier was kind enough to send me some product, and I decided to put the parents on the mission. They are big coffee drinkers. This is what they call their treat coffee. This is when they've had a tough day and they want to have a nice cup of coffee, hot or iced, and they love Cometier. It's been such a game changer that they've actually gone on the site and started buying their product. I'm like, Ma, Dad, we're sponsored. Hold up now. Anyway, Cometier brings you the best coffee on the planet. It's incredible, but don't just take my word for it. Experience it for yourself and try the coffee you melt to make, brewed exclusively in partnership with award-winning roasters. And we've got a special deal for you. Save $20 on your first order when you sign up at cometier.com/Duke. That's COMETEER.com/Duke. And we thank Cometier for sponsoring this podcast. Oh, before we proceed, did you check out the new Atomic Heart trailer? This is day one on Game Pass.
I did.
Yeah, it says it's coming 2022. They don't specify which month. It's got a bunch of pound symbols, and then it says BER, like BER. So it's a month that ends with BER, like December, October. It could be one of those months. What did you think about what you saw?
Look, man, this thing had my attention from the very beginning. I believe it was, what is it, Xbox third party showcase? It was when I first saw it. And I'm like, yo, this is unique. This is like this real kind of Russian, weird humor going on, but the action and seems like
so many things.
Yeah, so many things, so many cool systems and gravity and things moving around and twisting. And then it's just got a nice feel to it. So it has my attention. It came out of nowhere, but it's one of those games when you look at it, you're like, okay, I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know, but they got something that makes me want to play this, and that's where I'm at with it. So yeah, they have my attention for sure.
Yeah, they actually revealed that the soundtrack's being done by Mick Gordon, who did Doom and Doom Eternal soundtrack, which is a good sign. This is a game that as a Fallout fan, I'm like, thank God this exists. This just looks fucking cool because it's for those who don't know, I this isn't a direct comparison, but imagine like Fallout Russia in a way, because it's described as a alternate retro future version of the 1950s USSR. And it's an action-packed first-person shooter. And for me, like, I love, like, if you've noticed, I love Fallout. I love Singularity. I love alternate history. Yes. I love Wolfenstein. Alternate history is so cool to me. It's just, I think it's because school ruins some fascinating history subjects by making you run over the same ground constantly. And then you get to a game or a movie that's just like, what if this happened here?
Yes.
What if this happened here? Right.
I liked it. I love it.
And that's what clicks for me. So Atomic Heart, man, looks excellent. Again, day one Game Pass, trailers out. IGN had it exclusively. And it says it's coming out in 2022 with a month that ends in BER. So
good get for Game Pass. Good eye. This is one of them ones that I'm like, okay, I'm glad you went and got this one.
Yes. I agree. This is also, it's not saying anything about multiplayer, so this would be a pretty interesting day one Game Pass get. So I'm gonna sit back and watch this one, see how it all goes.
Good point.
All right, let's get into our warm-up questions here, starting off with Not Skywalker. Dear Dukes, I just saw a friend of the show, Ryan McCaffrey, share that IGN will be unveiling the release trailer for Atomic Heart tomorrow and effectively asked us for our thoughts, but what he also gets into is, how do you all feel about what I think is very demonstrable an effort by Xbox to bolster their engagement with Eastern European developers? Obviously, Stalker 2 out of Ukraine's GSC is the big one, but they're also working with Sad Cat Studios out of Belarus to release their upcoming console exclusive Replaced, which that also looks dope. After seeing the ongoing success of 4A Games out of Ukraine/Malta, I personally am very enthused to see Xbox develop these Eastern European partnerships and look forward to seeing what these stories these studios will tell. Have My Game I Made dropped from number 5 on Steam to number 6, but everyone just wants to talk about how it's failing for dropping from the top 5 kind of day.
Oh, man. It's good. Yeah, I think that's a good observation. I mean, Look, I'm always of the camp, show up your weaknesses. In that region, last generation, they just got creamed. Sony just completely dominated. And to be honest, that's probably one of the reasons of the rise of Jim Ryan. He took a region that was failing for Sony and now made it one of their dominant regions. So yeah, absolutely do that. And I like that he mentioned replaced. That's the one for me. I just love that. Is it kind of like pixel arty,
Yeah.
2D? Oh my god,
Yeah.
that thing, and it's gritty. It's gritty. Got that neon-y cyberpunk a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, but that's the one for me, and remember we talked about it before. Like, I'm always a fan of games that expose me to cultures that we don't see often. And that's gonna excite me because I'm like, okay, this is new, this is fresh. Oh, this is okay, this is Eastern Europe. This is like, I want to know what was going on at that time. The same way you love, alternate history and stuff. I love cultures and places that don't get a lot of light. I don't care where it is, and I want to be the character in that story. So they got me. I'm all about this, and if this is the initiative by Microsoft, kudos, because that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I like that they're reaching far and wide here. And I think this is an area that's really untapped that is wise to get into nice and early, if you will. One name that's not on this list, while it's on an Xbox partnership right now, but should be, is CD Projekt Red. I know a lot of people want to discount them. And I know I have a very unique stance on Cyberpunk. I fucking like that game a lot, man. To me, Cyberpunk didn't show me that this company's out of it. They showed that they needed time to bug squash, but the content was really fucking good. Yeah, it was really good. And, I think Techland is also Eastern European. I mean, there are a lot of...
house.
Yeah, right? There's a lot of strong studios from there. So Xbox is tapping into a smart market here.
Yeah.
So I think they should be doing that.
Only thing I want to add on is, since we're talking, shout out to my Polish brothers. Like, I remember the last PAX I went to, which was 2020. It's been so long now, but I remember going, and on my list, and I would see these cool games, and it would be from these Polish devs, and I was going through some like really dope concepts, and it was just, I forgot what was that name, one with the sword. It was first person. It was Ghost Runner or something, and then it was another turn-based game, and I'm like, it was just like a plethora of these up and coming. They're on the rise, so it's cool to see, man. Yeah, jump in there.
Absolutely. Let's move on to number 2 with Brett Medlock, good friend of the show, good friend of mine. He writes, "Hey Dukes, I'm back again with another rant about Xbox marketing, and I think this one is well placed. Cog, I'm excited to get your thoughts on this. Where is the marketing for CrossfireX? This is the sequel to one of the biggest multiplayer games in the world. Seriously, it's huge outside of the US, especially China. CrossfireX could have been the game in the series that captured a US audience, but aside from a few Twitter posts from Remedy, Xbox, and Smilegate, it's been silent. I haven't seen any ads for the game whatsoever. With Remedy doing the campaign, you'd think more press would be talking about it. Control was a big hit for Remedy, and it felt like it put the studio on a lot of gamers' radars. But I've seen no hype surrounding CrossfireX, despite it being their next big title. Sure, it's something different for the studio, but this is still the team behind cult classics like Max Payne and Alan Wake, the underrated gem Quantum Break, and the critical darling Control. Where's the excitement? And lastly, Xbox has barely talked about it despite it being a full-on Xbox exclusive. What gives? I feel this from top to bottom, even on a internal level, because Xbox will contact people like myself to say, you want to preview this game, make some content on it? Nothing. What the hell is going on here? Cog, thoughts? Oh man, the little head scratch.
I feel him like you're so on. Brett is so on fire. You're on fire, and it's just like, this was the game when I first saw it. I remember graphic. I'm like, oh, this looks nice.
Looks solid,
okay, yeah. I'm in CrossfireX. I was blowing the horn like, yo, we need more info. You know what I'm saying? And another one too, I want to shout out because I always forget. Where the hell is Exo Mecha? That's a side note. No.
Yeah.
Where the hell are you? I was, this is what I'm doing. I don't even like Battle Royale, but I like what they were showing. I was like, all right, cool. But back on point. And then kind of fade. So you're like, all right, maybe they just need more time. Okay, cool. I think the turning point that I kind of put as a document is, shout out to Dessel and Gary. And I think IGN, they had like their first hands-on. And they have a lot of nice things to say. He kind of went in. He was just like, the enemy AI is kind of not great. Kind of story, kind of like same old tropes. And, it just wasn't doing anything interesting, and he just wasn't that. He kind of, kind of critical, and I think Skill Up had another one. Someone else had one too, and both of their previews were not strong. And then
That's bad too, because they show you the best slice. It's hard to walk out of a preview negative.
Right. He went so that showed me that, okay, it really is not doing stuff well, and I just think that they may know it. I'm hoping since that time that there has been or enough time to improve or get something done, but how much time realistically can you do in that short window?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I agree. It is weirdly absent during the hype cycle. Oh, when it's about to come out. This is an exclusive title, but I'll let you go. Like, what the insight you got on it? What's your vibe?
So I was looking at the situation. I think I broke it. I think I have it broken down properly here where we can get a good idea of what's going on. So for those who don't know, this game as a whole is developed by multiple teams. So you have Remedy doing the single player portion that we're getting on Game Pass. It'll be out by the time everyone's listening to this. As of the time of recording this, we haven't played it. We don't have access to it. So maybe we'll talk about it next week if we got the time for that. But Smilegate developed the multiplayer component, which is very popular outside of the US. Like, this is effectively the direct competitor to Counter-Strike. It's a highly competitive first-person shooter. And I think that's why Brett's on fire here. This is a good market to tap into and be like, we're on the ground with this one. We got Crossfire on Xbox. Like, that's the thing. It reminds me of Phantasy Star Online too. It's not enough just to bring it to the West, Phil and team. You got to put it out there afterwards. Show people why it's so demanded to bring it across the ocean onto the platform and put it out there. Same thing's happening here. So my theory is that you've got the campaign, right, which is by Remedy. Multiplayer, those developers, they're busy with a much bigger game right now. Has anyone heard of Lost Ark?
Yeah, good point.
Smilegate is one of the lead devs on Lost Ark. And that is, again, by the time you're listening to this, it is out. This is, if you're buying the Founders Pack, it's already out playing it, but it'll be coming out Friday, the 11th. I'm actually very excited for that game, but that is already seeing absurd player numbers, crazy queue counts. There's a lot of hype. We're seeing just how big of a marketing machine Twitch is. There's just so much going on there. I think that's where the attention is, Cog, because right now, if you look at outside the US, Crossfire is a well-oiled machine. Why does Smilegate got to give it attention? Then you got Remedy, who they just keep getting snubbed, man. They keep getting snubbed. And so they're just making partnerships everywhere, collecting their bag, and almost, I don't want to say they don't care how it does, but I think this falls on Xbox to market it, right? To push it a little bit more. How are you feeling about my theory?
I like your theory. I like it. I just think it's so weird that, because I'm glad you broke down the history of the game, because I didn't know that part of the component, and I guess where I struggle is like, look, if you know the multiplayer is what it is, and it's huge over there, right? It's huge in China, right? And that should be a slam dunk, right? If you know that's the good part. So if you know the single player ain't that good, maybe you should reverse the marketing flow and push the good in your face. Like, kind of like Halo, right? Like in the beginning, when Craig was outside, we was like, oh God, what's going on? And here's the multiplayer, guys. Y'all remember that multiplayer you like? The classic thing? Like, that's what needs to happen. Like, there should have been a shift. And I'm like, where's the shift? Because to me, it almost feels like they put all their eggs in the Remedy basket based on the track record. And for whatever reason, again, I haven't played the game, but I can only go by the two that I've seen, which is Skill Up and Destiny Gary, and they didn't sound thrilled. So that's what I'm wondering here. And I'm just, have you seen the multiplayer? Have they previewed that? I don't even remember.
This is I mean, you can find gameplay online, I'm pretty certain, but
I'm talking about like for Xbox.
Oh, for Xbox? Good question. Actually.
Like from I don't recall. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here. You guys who's listening, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think they did a beta. Actually, yeah, I'm looking right now, and there are people who are playing it.
Just curious.
Yeah, this is 1 year ago. CrossfireX multiplayer is dumb fun on Xbox One. That's from IGN.
Oh, that's way back.
Yeah. A lot of this is a year ago. They did a multiplayer trailer about 5 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, the other thing I was thinking of is maybe the plans changed a little bit. Like, this game was announced in June 2019, the single player campaign. I think it took a little bit longer than they expected. Now it's kind of finally rolling out, and probably if anything, they want the multiplayer to pop off. Xbox is big on player count, right? And you got a high player count with the game on Game Pass. It's going to be interesting to see how this one does, if there are any numbers that ever come out about it. But I thought Brett really was highlighting something I was personally feeling.
last point on the split though, isn't one portion not like isn't not is any of it? It's just Xbox exclusive. Not any of it is Game Pass, right? It's a weird one, I believe. Because
I don't know if you can. I think it's Game Pass. Let me see if you can actually. Let me just look up the Xbox store.
yeah, because that's the thing. I recall being like yo, it's Xbox exclusive, but not necessarily on some day-and-date Game Pass thing. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I remember, because I remember like, oh, this is gonna be on Game Pass, and people are like, oh no, Cog, that's not. It's just Xbox exclusive, and I'm like, oh, that kind of a deal. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's these like packs. The originator pack is $10. It says it contains CrossfireX, the character Gordon, 3 days of 30% XP boost, and austere 88 desert. So yeah, it's a really interesting situation actually.
Yeah,
that they got going on here.
Unique.
Yeah,
very unique.
So we'll see in due time, but we'll track that as things go along. And now let's move into our next question here. This one comes from Matthew Mandello. Hey Dukes, random question. The Shenmue anime debuted on Adult Swim over the weekend. Cog, since you're a huge Sega guy, I was wondering if you were able to watch it. I personally thought it was a great opening episode that lived up well to one of my favorite game franchises. Hashtag gotcha toys for life.
I did watch this.
You did too? All right, awesome.
I did watch this.
Nice.
Yeah, this is my heart. People know how I feel about Shenmue. So I gotta put a caveat on my thoughts because I'm extremely biased. I love Shenmue very much so. One
of the most influential games ever, man.
Yeah, for me, that was one of the games. That was a shift in gaming for me at the time.
Same.
You know, so yeah, like I think I was worried coming in because I'm like, this is my baby. Like, I don't know how they gonna do it. And I'm like pleasantly surprised. I'm like, yo, y'all got the core tenets of what down. You know when I knew it was on? When they had the Frank man from with the dreads and the thing.
Hot dog, yeah, Tom.
I'm like, okay, y'all got the humor, because like Shenmue has some quirky, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, they got the quirky, they got okay. And if I had to nitpick, because I'm such a Shenmue fanboy, I would have liked Landy to be a little bit more darker. He was dope. I just wanted even more, like, you know what I'm saying? I feel a little light.
Yeah, I feel you.
But that's just me nitpicking. He still was good. He was solid. But I have to admit, I really liked the Ryo choice. I really thought that was cool. They throw elements of Shenmue 3 in it as well, the way it started. And I'm like, all right. Like, they literally did the opening to Shenmue with better context, and they replicated it well. I thought they did a lot of homage to the series. So I'm in. I'm like, all right, I want to see where this go. They didn't butcher my baby.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I don't talk a lot about how much Shenmue was influential to me. Like I
didn't know we share this.
I was gonna say, so
a little
bit of a story, right? What always blew me away is I always recall in my old house growing up, sitting on the bottom of the bunk bed, and my brother, he brought the Dreamcast in the house, and that's where I discovered a lot of my love of gaming, right? And Shenmue was really what brought me to the next level of, oh my God, how is this possible? Because what I always remember is watching my brother stand outside the convenience store and check his watch, and he was looking at the time to see when he could go to his next mission. I was like, what? Right? And it's when you go back and you play the HD remaster, there's some stuff that it's a little janky on how you handle that, but there are so many core mechanics to this game that you see live on in so many other titles. Persona, to name one of my favorite series. Yakuza, you see a lot of that. Sifu is like a love letter, in my opinion, to the 70-man battle in Shenmue, the first one.
Yes,
it is absolutely like a whole game. So I said, I was like, it's a whole game that reminds me of that. One of my favorite moments in all video games.
Oh, bro!
So I'm right there with you. When I was watching it, it opened up with the Ryo in a tournament. I was like, am I forgetting something? Because I played it when the remaster came out. I got the platinum for the first game. I haven't gone back to the second one in a while. And I actually, full confession, I never played the third one. I haven't played the third one.
Oh yeah, I started it. It's you know what it is.
Those reviews pushed me away, man.
Just the short of it is sometimes your legends, they've been out the game a little too long.
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn, it's not terrible, but by today's standards, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
that's just what I heard. And that's why I think this, sorry, what were you going to say?
The last thing I was going to say is that I still want to give him his flowers though, because he, in my opinion, Yu Suzuki, that's one of my favorite guys. That's one guy got me into gaming. Like Yu Suzuki straight up. Like Sega, Hang On, all my classic franchises outside of Shinobi, like he was a part of in Sega's hey, and Shenmue was his pinnacle. But I want to give him his flowers in the sense that Yakuza to me is what Shenmue should be now, right? But I feel that's the spiritual successor, and I know those guys were influenced by you.
Yes,
Yu Suzuki definitely. That's why I wanted to give you his flowers. I never did.
Absolutely, no, he's an amazing guy, and his work should.
And I met him.
Hell yeah, let's go. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was like I geeked out, crazy.
Yeah, absolutely, I don't blame you. Man, I got to play the third one, but seeing the animation and how they filled in little gaps and kind of built up this idea like Ryo had actually lost something outside of his father. I was like, okay, I'm like what they're doing, because the biggest concern for those who aren't Shenmue fans is that, will the story ever be complete? Will Ryo get revenge on Londi? Will that ever happen? And this man, I love this guy, but he's like, I got about 8, 9 other games playing. I'm like, bro, you're like 70. The fuck do you mean? It took you 40 years to get to the third one. You ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Stop the cap. You gotta get the anime. You gotta get the anime going. Come on.
I'm with you. And I'm so glad the anime exists for that. You just nailed it. Because the reality is, Shenmue was that story's never getting finished. Let's be real. Yu Suzuki, he ain't gonna be alive enough for this thing to happen. So maybe with his permission, they could tell it, and now in this, and it lives on. You know what I'm saying? And we get what's going on. The saga of the Phoenix Mirrors and all that. It
reminds me a little bit of the passing of the torch that may occur with Berserk. Because for those who don't know, who read Berserk, Kentaro Miura, he passed away, I think it was late last year. And there was a joke that I think the arc that they were on ended with them on a ship. And people were saying, like, we'll never leave the ship because of how long Kentaro takes to write the next volume. And then he passed away. And now there's this moment of like, what are they going to do with the story? Do you leave them on the ship or do you continue it? And there's been a murmuring that they're going to continue it. And I feel that energy with Shenmue, that someone will have the torch passed to them that will bring Shenmue to a new era of fans. And I think anime is a really smart way to go. Like, we're in a time where people are more open to anime. Remember when, dude, oh man, I remember watching Naruto and being clowned on in middle school because I loved that shit. Sasuke Uchiha was my idol. I remember everyone making fun of me. Now I see on TikTok, I'm gonna put a little lo-fi in the background while Levi zips around and Attack on Titan. Fuck you. That's what I gotta say, man. Because now anime is the move. And guess what? Shenmue, it could be a big product of that, I think. So
I agree.
Excited.
I agree. Well said. Well said.
Right on. All right, number 4. Hey, Nukes. This is from Vonoran. Matty, after the buggy release of Dark Alliance last summer, you asked Xbox to quality check their day one partnerships. With Battlefield 2042 and Dying Light 2 out now, did Microsoft learn their lesson and dodge these games after many wanted them in Game Pass? Now, I know this is a question for me. Of course, I want you to answer too. I think Battlefield was the one that I was wrong about. I was wrong. That was the one I was pushing for. I was like, because I was going for the kill shot on PlayStation. I was like, look, if I'm competing, this is what I'm doing. You're going to have your Call of Duty, which eventually they would absorb. This would have made it a trifecta. But then you took Battlefield, which was looking strong, and been like, all right, now we got this. We got Halo. Like, we're the first person box. We're the big holiday box right now. And see what happens. They don't do that. And that may have been wise, because even in my preview video, I noted, like, this game's a little glitchy. I didn't think it would get as bad as it is now, but it was pretty glitchy from even a preview standpoint, which, again, as I said earlier, they show you the best things they can with the game. So it's pretty hard to walk out of a preview going, that was terrible. You know, but anyway, Dying Light 2, however, I don't think that was a bullet dodge, because I don't think that was as bad. I think what you're going to have with Dying Light 2 is a less worse situation, kind of like Days Gone, where Days Gone was really snake bitten by the review process, as Sacred Symbol still talks about to this day. You know, I say a patch still can't fix a fucking terrible story, but I digress. You know, I feel like Dying Light 2 will have that similar thing where, like I mentioned right in the front of my review, I'm like, this game was really buggy when I played it. And I'm sure when people come back to that review like a year from now, they'll be like, what was he even talking about? When I played it in April, it was fine. So I don't know if Xbox dodged a bullet on that one. I think that would have been a good one to pull the trigger on. But how are you feeling about what they're doing with quality checking these partnerships for big day one games?
It's an interesting one by Vonoran, because I understand where he's coming from, but there's a part of me that says, it's going to sound disrespectful, that I don't want to give all the credit to Xbox on this. Like they had something to do with, like they told Battlefield out, fam. We saw what you're doing.
It was one of 2 games that weren't coming to Game Pass. It was Diablo 4 and it was Battlefield, right? That were in the E3 showcase.
Good point. It's just like part of me feels that Game Pass is still a negotiation, and again, I got to hark on when we had Grub on, and we're talking about how these third parties and they're leveraging, right? So in my opinion, EA, again, I wasn't in the room, but my guess is that they still value this thing as the monster, and rightfully so to some extent, right? Like it's Battlefield, it's the type of game they want, and we're gonna hit all the marks. Because in their mind, their price may have been astronomical, and Microsoft will say, "Hey, look, we ain't doing that. We want you, we're still gonna have you, but okay, fine."
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's the case with Dying Light 2, but there is value, and then also we do realize that some of these third parties, even they're still playing the back end game, which is like, yo, let's still do the sales up front. Then when we teeter in interest or tie it to another DLC down the road, then we'll come back. And I think Game Pass is still being leveraged that way by a lot of the big guys. So that's where I'm going with. But listen, if it was the quality team, salute to you for dodging the Battlefield book. But if it was,
it's hard to tell. But I think you make a really good point that who knows if they're really calling the shots on this one. So, Defining Duke is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2022, why are you still paying an insane amount of money every month for wireless? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you maximize your savings with plans starting at just $15 a month. So I think it's time to make some business decisions, some cuts, and I'm really considering switching over to Mint Mobile to save myself some money. Now, for people who are looking for extra savings here, you can go online and eliminate the traditional costs of retail because Mint Mobile passes significant savings on to you. And all these plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And you can use your own phone, don't worry about that, with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone along with your existing contacts. With Mint Mobile, you just choose the amount of monthly data that's right for you and you stop paying for that data that you never use. So it's a lot about efficiency. To get your new wireless plan for $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Duke. That's mintmobile.com/Duke. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Duke. Time will tell. Let's move on to number 5, Chris Marshall. He writes, "Hey Dukes, with the upcoming launch of Steam Deck later this month, do you think Microsoft will try to push PC Game Pass on it? The obvious solution is cloud streaming through the browser, but what do you think the chances are that Microsoft tailors a version of Windows from the Steam Deck for a native Game Pass Windows Store experience? Valve has been clear the Deck is just a PC, but I don't believe Windows in its current form will have a great user experience or technical optimization on the Deck. Thanks, and put up your Dukes." How are we feeling about this? How are we feeling about the integration of PC Game Pass on the Steam Deck? Because this is going to be a huge component here. Like Phil was posting pictures of games running on the Steam Deck around its announcement window. So do you think this is going to be a big play? Because it goes back and forth. We always talk about the idea of there's a lot of potential in a portable Xbox more than ever now, thanks to the cloud technology. As much as I want it to be all native and local, but now they see the Steam Deck and they're like, well, we have Valve who's offering us the infrastructure to then use for our own handheld, or do we make use of theirs? So where are you at with all of this? Because I think it could go a number of ways and it's hard to predict.
Yeah, well said. I think it is. There's so many things that keep changing as this story evolves, right? And we have that. We have the fact now, what's going on with the Activision Blizzard situation, right? So it's like, the Blizzard component and what's going on with BattleNet and that. So, I'm curious on how that thought process changed. I will say what I'm confident in saying is that they ideally, as much as I don't like this, ideally want to push cloud streaming as the first option, the default option to play on your Steam Deck, so to speak.
Sure.
Because that is their initiative. Azure servers, cloud, you could do this through the browser, which they've already tested through Xbox Cloud Gaming. You can put it on your browser and rock, right? The Stadia equivalent now, so to speak. on some level. So they want to push that. However, we do know the Steam Deck is a PC. We do know that you can theoretically install Windows 11 on it or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question to what Chris is saying is a good point. Technically, will that be optimal based on the specification of the Steam Deck?
Mm-hmm.
Will it play right? Will it do that? Because in theory, you should be able to do it. I'm going to test that part. Mm-hmm. I just want to see. Maybe it can't do high demand and stuff, but hey, if I can get my little turn-based on the go, or anything that's somewhat decent running local, I'm going to push the limits of that deck. Right. And we're going to see what it could do. I know Microsoft wants me to stream, but when I want to play, I want to treat it like a Switch. I want to do my Xbox. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. I'm going to push it. I'll be your beta tester. Mm-hmm. What do you think? What do you want?
Well, it's so interesting because, like, for me, I want them just to... Priority number one is getting, when it comes to PC Game Pass, is just getting this thing working right. Because I was using it yesterday. I'm going to be starting up Final Fantasy X shortly for Retro Rebound, upcoming video. And I found out that the PC version of Final Fantasy X has turbo mode. So I'm like, okay, let me download it on Game Pass, see what it's all about. Because we already know the Game Pass SKU is different from the Steam SKU. Turns out, long story short, by the way, it's the Steam version. So I had to buy it over there. But when I was doing this, I've been a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber for years, right? Like since they announced that it was a thing, I've been a subscriber.
Same.
And I'm going to sign up or going to download Final Fantasy, and they're like, you need to be an Ultimate subscriber. I'm like, what do you mean? You guys have been taking money out of my account constantly. So it's like, it won't let me download the game. I log out of my account, log back in, still tell me I got to upgrade. I'm like, okay, I'll upgrade then. And then obviously, you know, beyond that, the finding of games on this pass is terrible. The app is not good. It's not good. Like for me to find Final Fantasy X, I typed in Final Fantasy. They showed stuff on the Xbox storefront instead of Final Fantasy X or any Game Pass games, right? So I had to go down to the bottom, click role playing, click turn-based, then go through all the games there. There was Final Fantasy X. Then I had to do that a second time when I had to sign up. That's to me the thing is like, I want them to tailor this to the Steam Deck. It's going to be a great option if they can figure that out. But to me, the Game Pass PC version needs work. Serious technical work. It's not in a good state right now. I mean, the console experience even has a lot left to be desired in the way of you finding games. And I think the labeling of things, like when I mentioned the play later tip to a lot of our audience, a lot of people were big on that, but the way they label things, it's like they should call it a queue or a wish list or a favorites list, something like that. There's a lot there. Like the HUD is confusing. Like I think my girlfriend and my brother are perfect examples of people who are like getting into gaming through Game Pass. And so when I'm watching them go through the UI, you can really pinpoint problems. Like, and one of them is like these small tiles for show all games. It's like on the right row, just tucked away this tiny black square. I'm like,
in the corner. Yeah.
Why? Like if I want to see your whole library, that should be option one. Just drop it all down. So to me, long story short, I think just the UI experience and especially the PC experience has a long way to go where I am, not to dodge the question here from Chris, all for PC Game Pass working well with Steam Deck, but I think they need to shore up the defenses a little bit before.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. With that, thank you everyone for writing in. We still have more write-ins to go through, but it's time to get into the news.
Let's get it.
Number one. This comes on the day of us recording. It already feels like an eternity of conversations have taken place on the status of exclusivity involving large Activision franchises since Microsoft's announcement of the intent to purchase the publisher. Statement after statement has poured in from Xbox trying to bring clarity to the situation, but vague wording gave way to speculation. Now, in a Microsoft blog post on their principled approach to the App Store, we may finally start to have some kind of answer. Quote, first, some commentators have asked whether we will continue to make popular content like Activision's Call of Duty available on competing platforms like Sony's PlayStation. The obvious concern is that Microsoft could make this title available exclusively on the Xbox console, undermining opportunities for Sony PlayStation users. To be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision and we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love. We are also interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's successful platform. We believe this is the right thing for the industry, for gamers, and for our business. This came out of nowhere. You know, we had it's really hard to digest all of this because of how close in proximity you had Xbox buying Activision, PlayStation buying Bungie, PlayStation saying, yeah, multi-plat everything. Then this, Phil Spencer's comments about the intent to honor the agreements, the desires, right? The clearly vague legal wording that a lawyer would be like, yes, you're fine there, Phil, right? They're all in such close proximity. It's hard to like pinpoint what is a reaction, if anything, to the other stuff, right? Like, is this response here saying, yeah, but you know what? This is going everywhere beyond those agreements, a response to how PlayStation handled Bungie? Because we've noticed that the calls were made. Phil had an intent to honor. So I know I hate to start off with the speculative point, but I couldn't shake it off that with everything so close to each other, we should probably tackle that first, get that out of the way, and then we'll talk about everything else. So how are you feeling about overall the proximity of all these situations, and are they feeding off one another?
Let me just get it right out in the open. First of all, I got this wrong because I didn't see this coming. I didn't see it coming only based on the pattern of what just transpired with the ZeniMax acquisition, right? ZeniMax acquisition, you know, the questions start to come, what's going to happen to the properties? Oh, you know, anything where Game Pass exists, right? So, and then prior to that point, any acquisition, Ninja Theory games, Hellblade 2, Outer Worlds 2 from Obsidian, you know, assumed, boom, point break, there's going to be Xbox exclusive or places or PC or places where Game Pass exists. This one did surprise me. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the caveat. And when we had the Xbox 2 on, right? Shout out to Jez. Jez, I'll give you flowers, but you got this right. Jez Corden got this right. Mm-hmm. And I did concede this to him. I said, if it doesn't happen, the only way I could see it is regulation and public pressure from antitrust and all these things. And the fact that Call of Duty is Call of Duty, this is literally the biggest game going, that may influence, the deal has to get done at all costs. And here's the thing, Matty. The way I look at it now, I shouldn't have been as surprised as I am because look at the complexity of this deal, right? We're just thinking Bethesda, ZeniMax, games. You've got King, a mobile portion of this that they have to regulate with Microsoft and get under their umbrella. Then you have the Blizzard, the PC, the BattleNet. You have to regulate and get under their umbrella, right? So with all these factors, there is a part of me, and here's the thing, they put this out on an app store blog post, which is
different place.
Very different, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, again, I'm guessing, I get the sense that it is this deal has to complete hell or high water. And if it means concessions with Call of Duty, because let's be clear, even though as a fan or some fans may say, I wanted exclusive, what the hell are you doing, Microsoft? Mm-hmm. There is a portion, let's be real, just like when Colin talked about Sony on Bungie and Sacred Symbols, it's like, every sale, they're getting money. Let's not be clear. Like every sale of Call of Duty on another platform, if it being multi-platform, they're going to get their bag, right? And we still can't minimize Game Pass's effect. The same way we always talk about MLB The Show in these third-party games. When those games come out on Xbox and it's in Game Pass day and date, it still feels like and they'll have the marketing. So it's still a W in that sense. But this is the last point I'll say, because this is the question I have for you. Where it gets interesting for me, because to your question, Sony does that. They say, hey, we're multi-plat. Like, we're not stopping it, right? And now you see this, and Microsoft comes out and says, no, we're not going to, mess. And not only Call of Duty, they say other, what is it? What's the sentence?
Other popular Activision Blizzard titles.
is that Overwatch? Is that what is that? Right. So the question I have for you, because this is the one that's on my mind, bro. Like, has the game changed on some level? Because now they put themselves in a position, because it's almost like talking outside your mouth 2 times. Because on one hand, you say where Game Pass exists, and on the other hand, now we're going to play that. So when Crystal Dynamics happens, or any future acquisition happens, what are they going to do? Are they going to be able to say, oh, no, where Game Pass exists and these stays exclusive? So people are going to say, but what about the Call of Duty Activision thing? You just said that you will open this up to all borders. You're not going to take it away. See, that's the portion here that I'm very curious to see what happens moving forward. Is this a changing in the guard with acquisition and consolidation now? Or is it just because Call of Duty is that big, we got to make a session? I'm done rambling. It's on you. I'm down to know what you got to say.
Ooh, there's a lot I got to unload here. So, it's funny because they say Call of Duty, that one makes sense, right? I should also, before I even go further, I will concede as well that I was one who was beating the war drum that, like, you're going to keep Warzone multi-plat, Call of Duty is going to go exclusive. Here's why I'm a little bothered by this. And I know as a host of the Xbox podcast, people are going to think I'm bothered by the idea that it's not exclusive to my platform.
You mad.
I'm pissed. What I'm bothered by, and you really touched on it here, is the both sides of the mouth speaking. When you get Bethesda, Phil's words were, this is a deal about getting great exclusive games to platforms where Game Pass exists. That is the standard that's been set now. You lock down Elder Scrolls 6. So I'm not saying Elder Scrolls 6 is on the level of Call of Duty, but let's not deny that Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls series sniff that territory a little bit. There is an absurd amount of popularity. Skyrim is still, 10 years later, one of the most played video games ever. On PC, on console, to the point where it's re-released to you 6 times. So they have no problem locking that down, but you're not going to lock down popular Activision Blizzard titles. Is that Spyro? Is that Crash? Is that Diablo? Those are popular.
Yeah. What's that mean?
For me, the problem is you don't want to make these exclusive. That's great. I want more people to play games. I love to create videos about games, so I want more people to play them. So when we talk about them, everyone can get in on the conversation. Like, that's a win-win for everybody. But what are you trying to accomplish now? If Bethesda's deals were for, getting exclusives, is the Activision deal for Game Pass? That's the clarity that we just don't still have, in my opinion, here. That's where I'm leaning is, okay, we saw PlayStation's dealing. Their deal to me, as I get further away from it, either screams desperation or Spartacus support. And I think it's the latter. Because we're going towards the subscription service medium. It's something we touched on a lot last week. And I'm thinking that, okay, Microsoft may not have exclusives, but they have the option to say you can spend $70 over there where we own Call of Duty now. We're going to get money for every sale on PlayStation, or you can be a subscriber in our service. And that's still a huge win for them. And I know it breaks the norm of what console warriors call a win, but it is a win to save money. I just find myself very frustrated by not only the both sides of the mouth, but the attitude Xbox gave people with, again, Elder Scrolls 6. Like, how many times we got to explain this? The real cracking of the whip on fans, like, no, man, like, this is an exclusive to our platform, and beating it over their head. And I don't get how you can take that approach, making it clear, like, oh, PlayStation wanted to do the whole used game disc thing. You guys wanted to play the third-party game. You guys wanted to kill us out of this game. We're going to play with blood money now. And when they start to, they walk it back. I think you're on the right track here, that this is them really trying to get it done no matter what. Because otherwise, I think these are getting locked down and leaving the door open to other popular Activision Blizzard titles. Again, it's like, the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing?
Bro, you're on fire. You're on fire. I mean, I think that's what it is. Again, we got to be clear. You said it, but this is not about fanboying. This is not about, the Dukes are mad because it's not. No, it's
We
not
should name the
that.
title of this episode, The Dukes Are Mad.
The Dukes are mad. No, fam, this is not that. What this is messaging. Messaging and confusion. Again, Matty, you said it so well. When you just took me to that place. You took me to that place of the Microsoft Bethesda press conference and the whole thing about Starfield. You know how many times they kept mentioning Starfield exclusive? Like they were beating their chest about exclusivity. So if you put that energy out there, right? The expectation is this is how it is moving forward. This is how you've been moving. Now we get it. The stakes have changed, I guess, on some level with this. I understand it, but it still doesn't negate the fact that your messaging looks mixed. It looks mixed on what happens with acquisition. Now you are subjected to every acquisition, the questioning of every game, whether or not here or now, in or out. We're back there again. So that's all I was going to say there. But to your point, which was again well said, at the end of the day, this is still good, right? Now, PlayStation owners, you have nothing to worry about, right? You can still play the game, right? Fine, great. The other thing is, like we said, with Game Pass, tremendous value. Hey, you don't want to spend 70 over there, you over here in this ecosystem, boom, you get it. Now the question, though, is for me, is, besides the Diablos, the Overwatch, and all that, then is, once this deal concludes, and we know they're not finished, what's going to happen when Steve Dallin and Crystal Dynamics come in the building? What's going to happen if IO is a target? What's going to happen if Sega is a target? Here we go again, and that's the part that's just like, I don't know how they resolve this. They're in a spot.
PlayStation brought them down to their level on that one, man, because PlayStation, is going to have this awkward scenario, I think, with Bungie and the rest of their first-party studios where there's a clear gap, like a clear echelon, a tier system, if you will, where any new studio coming in is be like, we getting that treatment or this treatment, right?
Exactly.
And I feel like they're kind of walking into that now where every deal is different. So Bethesda might be going, well, we want to release our games on PlayStation, and maybe they have autonomy to do so, but now that's what's going to happen. And as you absorb more and more, maybe IO's like, well, we still want to be multi-plat. And it seems like they're willing to do that stuff, but I don't know how one mega deal is for exclusives and one isn't. One where you pay 9 times the value isn't. Again,
I agree.
No skin off my nose. You don't want to do that. It's fine.
I'm playing Call of Duty regardless. Wherever I'm playing it. To be honest, I mean, Activision, for me, it's the Diablos, the Overwatch, I want to see that. But yeah, it's a good point. I mean, as a gamer, it doesn't affect me. You know what I'm saying? But as a person who loves the industry and likes to see how things chart, this is very interesting to me. Like, where does this go moving forward? But this is great, and this was definitely a surprise. I was like, wow, this is, we gonna have stuff to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I think is getting swept under the rug here, and this is again just the way Microsoft is in general, they like to word things certain ways where you have to look at it and go, does that mean something? Let's talk about the wording here of support Nintendo's successful platform. And this is in reference to Activision Blizzard titles. And obviously we could throw like Crash Insane Trilogy in there, Spyro Reignited Trilogy in there as like ones that are in the mix. But one thing that they don't have is like Call of Duty. And we just saw in this Nintendo Direct a number of cloud-based titles were announced. And more, I feel like we got to be inching towards a place where we're going to see a Game Pass app on the Nintendo Switch, right? It's got to be just a matter of time.
I know things, but I can't say something like this way. but I will say this. I'm sorry. This is what I can't. But I will say this. There is look, it's not even nothing public knowledge. We saw the shelf.
Yeah.
Right? We saw Phil's shelf.
There's interest, yeah.
Right? Okay. So that's all I can say there. We know there is interest on both sides there. And, whether or not what the holdups are, whatever. But it is, I'm with you. It is interesting Nintendo is being named here. They never had really Call of Duty like that, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
However, we do know, as a person who follows the Switch, you've had the Control, the cloud version, Resident Evil, the cloud version, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. We do know Sony on the backbone, Azure, we've partnered with them. So this is what I think. I think this way you're onto something. And it's that the fear of this consolidation part a lot of people are having, I think ultimately Microsoft may look at it, is it in our best interest not to cripple these two, right? Because at the end of the day, we are big player services. Let's be honest. Game Pass, Azure. Azure's really, you know what I'm saying? Like they're banking on that streaming and all this, right? So I say that to say that it is more beneficial if it's down to dollars and cents, right? It's more beneficial to just say, hey, it'll live there, it'll go there, and then you use our Azure backbone, right? And then if you want the Game Pass, you want a curated version or whatever, like, so what you call it? Shout out to Colin and those guys. He firmly believes it's going to come to PlayStation at some point. And it just comes down to right. So maybe in the scheme of big business, I say this to say it's my whole White Walker's theory, right? Whereas, yeah, these two you went to war with these two for years, right? But the greater threat is, you don't want Tencent, you don't want Apple, you don't want someone, Amazon, who really does not know the game business, coming in here, scooping you up if I weaken you two. We're better together, playing together in this ecosystem that we are the game creators and we have the experience. So I understand the greater good. I understand that. The question just comes down to, again, you open yourself up. What is, what isn't? What's the purpose of acquisition? Because you've told us it's all about where Game Pass lives and you strengthening Game Pass for this exclusivity. That's out now. You can't really use that because this example literally goes against that. Because why? You're not strengthening Game Pass, but you're making your wallet bigger, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? So that's all this is. This is very interesting, man. Like, it's February, man.
It is.
What the hell is going on in gaming?
I know. It's fun.
There's more. It's fun though. It's fun
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
We have more to say on Nintendo, which we'll get into in one of our later news items. But for now, that's all that's going on with Activision, Call of Duty, PlayStation, Microsoft, and I'm sure it'll continue to develop. For now, let's move on to number 2. It's a bit of a write-up, so bear with me. Because it was supposed to be our number 1. But things change.
This got bumped.
Yeah, the missions change. They always have. All right.
Smooth.
The Xbox One generation was mired in bad business decisions by Microsoft, and as we all know, it nearly killed the brand. While it's easy to point the finger at their obvious missteps, in some cases, more than one entity can share the blame for that generation's failures, and one such example is with PlatinumGames, who is set to release the ambitious-looking Scalebound exclusive to Xbox One back in 2016 before its cancellation. It was an online co-op game involving open, expansive spaces, Platinum's tried and true action-packed combat, and humongous dragons that participated in battle with you. There was nothing that looked quite like it at the time, and since the plug has been pulled, Platinum has been extremely apologetic, dating back as recently as 2019, where studio head Atsushi Inaba said, quote, "Both sides failed, and the game didn't do all the things that we needed to do as a developer. Watching fans get angry at Microsoft over the cancellation wasn't easy for us to watch, because the reality is, when any game in development can't get released, it's because both sides failed. I think there are areas where we could have done better, and I'm sure there are areas that Microsoft as a publishing partner wish they could have done better, because nobody wants the game to be canceled," end quote. Now, PlatinumGames is beginning to plead to Xbox. In a recent interview with IGN Japan, both studio head Atsushi Inaba and director Hideki Kamiya were straightforward with their desires revolving around a Scalebound revival. Quote, "Often in an interview, you might hear a developer politely saying, 'Yes, if we had the opportunity, we'd love to work on that again,' but don't really mean it in that way. Both Kamiya and I are serious. We would really love to work on Scalebound again. I'd like to discuss it with Microsoft properly. This is followed by, development has progressed a fair way, and it seems pointless for Microsoft to hold on to that and not do anything with it. Kamiya follows up saying, Phil, let's do it," end quote. The timing couldn't be more particular for PlatinumGames as they find themselves in a transitional state. They've silently had their heads down toiling away on the long-anticipated Bayonetta 3. Previews for Babylon's Fall, the studio's first attempt at a games-as-a-service title, met downright scathing reception. They not only took an investment from Tencent, but are working on a Project GG, which currently doesn't have many details. Now they wish to work on games that are loved for a longer period of time, and an Xbox co-op game in the Game Pass ecosystem sure makes sense. Here's what Inaba had to say about that. Quote, "I would like to focus on creating games that can be enjoyed and loved for a longer period of time. Project GG is still in the testing stage of various things, so I can't tell you much about it. But when it comes to future game production, we want to focus on creating games that are different from the past. Considering the changes in the market over the next 5 years or so, I think it's absolutely necessary for us to do this, end quote. Lucius Augustus writes in, hello, Dukes. I need all you to stop the cap. Scalebound was trash when we saw it years ago. PlatinumGames had a chance to give Xbox a good product, and they failed. Though PlatinumGames has had a great history of games, I don't really trust them to take Xbox seriously and provide them a quality product. Do you really think, after spending years on Bayo 3, having that new Project GG in the works, and working on a new Games as a Service title for Tencent, that they will give Scalebound or whatever Xbox project the time of day to make it quality? I think not. I hope you Dukes have a this game looks terrible and runs at 22 FPS kind of day. Man, this is a game we've been talking about recently a lot, and here we are talking about a revival. I want to dish it to you right away as the man who hosted the Xbox One post-mortem. One of the forgotten ones could be coming back.
Yeah, this is a game that will not die. And what's crazy is we forgot to mention Scalebound on this. And that was one of the biggest parts of the Xbox generation. One of the biggest another L.
Wow.
Not, L. It was just a crazy generation. But shout out to Lucius. He's this Discord member. You know what I'm saying? That's the homie.
Yeah.
He going extra hard. Look, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
This did not work out on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out, because I got to give him his flowers. He's been on fire right now. Jez Corden, we call him.
Wow.
He has some more insight on this that I didn't know recently. Now, granted, I've always stated that if Kamiya, the man who blocks everyone on Twitter, the man
I couldn't see the tweet
is,
when you sent it to me.
you see, because you had to go to another guy because he doesn't block you. I interviewed the man. I met the man. I interviewed PlatinumGames on lordsofgaming.net. I have both of them, Manama and Kamiya, on. I got blocked. I don't know, just because someone mentioned me and it was English. I never said a word to him, but I got blocked. That's let you know how his block game, he get down.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love you though, Kamiya. So anyway, so here's the thing. The way his personality, the way they are, like, they will never admit anything to this nature, and in my opinion, and not begging, but pleading with Phil to want to do this game unless there is accountability on their side. And I've always felt that way. However, Jez made some additional points that I was unaware of with this situation, which was on the Xbox 2, salute to them, which is, we do know they were, at the time of Scalebound, they were unfamiliar with Unreal Engine. They had never really worked with that before, right? So you got that aspect. Then you have the aspect of, they may have been doing a little bit too many projects. I'm not going to say that's not a factor. But also, and we have a little bit of evidence, even though it's anecdotal, with the way Xbox thought process with games on their platform. Hey, could you add a co-op mode if possible? Hey, so that I heard was added to their plate, and and it just, from my understanding, this thing started to snowball on them. They just couldn't, between the and then let's be real, Xbox One, the performance at that time, and this is where Lucius is right. And when them frames, I remember some of them early previews. I was like, ooh,
yeah, it wasn't looking sharp.
Now, as far as the stop the cat part, that's why I got to get my man. I love him. Shout out to Lou. He's a good dude. The thing about that, where I disagree with him, and the people say, don't bring it back, which I'm not, because, Matty, this is where me and you go on the line. Xbox needs these type of games. You need these style of games on your platform. You don't have those Japanese sensibilities, those over-the-top, type games. No, this is what I think. Clearly, the relationship is severed, is broken, and Phil, they canceled it. And look, that's a bad look for Platinum. At the end of the day, it's a bad look. But I will say this, for them to care this much about it, maybe we get to a point that it's not revived in the traditional sense, but maybe it's revived in, okay, you know what? We may not work with you to do this exclusively under our banner, but we may say, okay, we go into the rights, we'll release the rights to you. You make it multi-plat, but okay, maybe we do a Game Pass deal. And maybe that's the olive branch here, because it may be severed to the point of them doing an exclusive reimagining of this thing again. But maybe there's a chance that you go, okay, this is what I'm willing to do. And Phil, I mean, he's got to hear this. I mean, you see the pictures on Twitter, Phil must have sent him something. And you're like, I've never seen this level of, we want to do this game so bad. So for fans of Scalebound, hey, you may get what you want. You know what I'm saying? And the game may come back in some form. It may not be an exclusive, but we'll see. What's your thoughts on it? I never got a chance to really ever deep dive with you with Scalebound. I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
It was before our time, if you will.
Yes, before our time.
Yes. It was a game I was really excited about. I mean, I'm like you. I'm a big PlatinumGames fanboy. Like Astro Chain was my game of the year in 2019.
See, this is why we do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's so under-discussed. Everyone's like, Bayonetta. I'm like, give me Astro Chain 2.
Astro Chain 2.
Come on now. Roll that bad boy in. But anyway.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I like the idea of more Platinum in my life. They've definitely, since Astro Chain, not had me as gripped. We're talking almost 3 years now. And, we've seen Babylon's Fall, Bayonetta 3 development hell. It's tough to trust them. I do agree with Lucius on that. I do think you got to really put yourself out there to trust them. But there's no denying this, that when you look at what Scalebound was supposed to be, it really fits the Game Pass mold nowadays. It really does. Co-op, loot-based. Imagine that. Like, that is Phil's probably salivating at the idea of this right now. He's like, yo, this is it. Like, another one? Okay, let's do it. Let's get some subscribers in here. I like the Xbox team because it seems like they're game with anything. I would be very surprised if they didn't pick up the phone here, because here's why you do this, selfishly.
Break it down. Come on.
Not even because I want the game. Phil, you got someone from Japan who wants to work with you.
Thank you.
They want to work with you, man. What? You don't got Sega with the knife behind their back going, can we use your Azure server for our super game? And then go in a separate interview, yes, we're actually not going to do any exclusive games for them. And as they reveal the Blade. It's like, you got someone who's itching to work with you, man. Take advantage. We don't see a reputable Japanese company allying themselves with you anywhere, and the one that got burnt by your team wants to work with you. Show them the turnaround. Right? Because what I said in my video was this, that if you really want to represent how different Xbox is as a brand now, Game Pass is great. You got your exclusives now. Awesome. But what's really going to say to a lot of people that the internal mindset is different is if you roll in the past failure and you get it out. And you show, like, look what can happen with us. Like, we are built different. I think that'd be a statement type of game. And I know you don't make games for those types of reasons, but I think if you have a good experience with Platinum, right, you dig up this relic from the past, get it out there. I think more Japanese developers are calling you. We don't got to wait for that Kojima Game Awards reveal. We don't got to wait for them to buy Sega when they're done being backstabbers and let go of Persona finally on PlayStation, right? This could be a step in that direction. An important step.
So I gotta, for fairness,
please,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I want your
always,
answers,
please.
Your answers to this. I am with you. I think they need to do this for all those reasons. Now, there is a very vocal group of gamers, Xbox gamers, that will say, "We gave you a chance. You burnt the bridge. You messed. Crap the bed." But why are you begging now? Maybe because you down on your luck.
Yeah, that's why I put it in the write-up.
You know what I'm saying? The bag is low, and you seeing that Game Pass money floating around, and maybe because your last couple of games ain't really pop, now here you come running, talking about let's work together. Does that give you any trepidation on the stability of PlatinumGames, and maybe internally things are not as good as they should be?
They went independent recently, right? The time they apologized about things involving Scalebound was when they had just released Astro Chain, so they weren't down on their luck then, right? A lot of this started with when they revealed Babylon's Fall, and people were like, oh, cool. I remember I was hyped for Babylon's Fall. Everyone thought it was a new single-player game, like this post-apocalyptic anime action RPG. I was like, okay, sick. And then you find out it's a live service game. It doesn't look as good. So, yeah, I think there is some validity to what people are saying here. But look, if that's the foundation of our reasoning, why are we all coming back to Xbox after a generation of failure, right?
Good point.
Let's rebuild. If someone fucks up once, should that be the end of the road for them?
My man.
I think not. That is a philosophy in life itself. But here, when we're talking JRPGs, it's especially true. I think that this is a partnership they should at least explore, right? Because again, I hate to just sound like a broken record with stuff I've said, but I just feel like when you are struggling in a region and you got a partnership there that can help you build in that region.
No presence in the region.
Yeah, no presence, right? Your console struggling to sell in that region. Like you even had Scarlet Nexus that would do everything with you but Game Pass day one. Get to work, Phil. Get to work. Pick up the phone. It's ringing.
And my thing is this, like, even if you're so, you like, you know what? That chick burnt me. Like, even if it's that, right? You could still say, all right, maybe we not gonna go steady and I'm gonna date you, whatever. We could start talking, get the dialogue popping with, get it at least multi-plat on the platform, and maybe you throw a little Game Pass bag that way if you like what you see. So that's where I'm at. It's just like I'm a firm, but my gut tells me, Phil, they're smart. Because this has put public pressure on Xbox on some level. Yeah, let's be honest, right? So I actually like the move by them, and I'm hoping that phone call does happen because I'm so with you, man. Like Japanese developers are not easy to come by. That want to work with you, an American company, so let's do it. Give them a trial run, let them earn their stripes back on the multi-plat.
It doesn't even have to be Scalebound. That's the thing.
That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Just whatever. You get them the IP back, whatever. I'm going to tell you what I really want. Can I get Astral Chain 2 on Xbox with the right frame rate and the thing? Can you broker that deal so I can get it off the Switch and play it on the other? Like, I would love to see that on a Series X.
Astral Chain needs to leave the Switch. I'm sorry. Anything they've made, that game needs to leave the Switch. It's not even 30 FPS. But not only that, man, it sold well and then it pieced out. Give it the Octopath treatment. Bring it to PC. Bring it to Xbox. Put the sequel on Xbox. I'm totally with you. I'm feeling what you're saying there because that's a series with way too much damn potential. Because you could tell the writers at Platinum were taking notes when working with Yoko Taro. Because if you play the stories of any Bayonetta game, it made no fucking sense. It was an amazing game. It made no fucking sense. Then you play Astral Chain. Plays with your expectations a little bit. Some good characters in there. You're like, yo, who's this Kyle guy? You know, it's
that chain system with the thing. Oh my god, it was so stylish and cool, and still some of the best police station music.
That's bumping.
That police station beat. Woo, woo, woo. It's cool, like you in a club in that beat. But anyway, I digress. I want those games on Xbox. Get that relationship popping, bro. I know you an Astral Chain fan because you knew what I was talking about.
Dude, the Arc Facility music, like the action track, like the bum 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 bum. Oh my god, man, that soundtrack's so good. I that's a game that needs to leave Switch. It just needs to. That and Ultimate Alliance 3. If I'm Phil, I'm on a warpath to get those two out of there.
Yes, get them going, please.
Since we're now a multi-platform company, it appears. Right?
We're multi-platform. We care about Nintendo, so hey, let's care now.
All right, number 3. This one has to be talked about. Halo Infinite broke out of the gate with insane numbers, resting at over 200,000 active players on Steam at its early launch of the multiplayer and within Xbox's top 5 most played titles for months on end. Developer 343 Industry also made fans aware that this is the most successful Halo game in the series, surpassing 20 million players. Now, things are beginning to slip ever so slightly. Halo Infinite is sitting at around 15,000 to 25,000 active players on Steam per day, and the game has moved down to number 6 on the player charts for Xbox Game Pass. For perspective, according to the Steam charts, there is a clear month-over-month decline that is said to be sharp. So, the monthly average in November was 102,000. Then, in December, it was 51,000. And in January, it's 23,000. Cody Smith writes in, "Hi, Duke Buds. It looks like Halo Infinite might be having problems retaining players. An article in Business Insider paints an alarming picture of Infinite losing both Steam players and Twitch viewership. And when asked about current player counts, Xbox representatives cited an older tweet about the cumulative 20 million player count. Even with updates coming, do you guys think Infinite can keep its legs up?" Cog, is it dead? Move from 5 to 6?
It's not dead. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to surprise people. They have a problem. This is a problem. This is. I'm taking this serious. I'm sorry. I'm not. Normally, I'm Mr. Positive Cog. Y'all know me, but nah. Let me tell you why. This is a bad look. The fact that this is free to play. This is free to play, right?
Right.
And on PC, the stories I'm hearing, from my PC brothers, the optimization, the issue. Some of the issues are going there. They're having the cheating is crazy.
Yep.
It is crazy. And remember, someone got at me. I ain't gonna call them out from the Patreon. With Cog, why you want the skill bit? Because the skill based matchmaking that they got takes your account of big team battle and all these other modes. Oh, I shouldn't say all these other modes. There ain't a lot of modes. That's another reason why it's failing. But failing. I should say declining. Excuse me. But the thing is, it's such a weird system that is factoring in these casual modes in the skill base. So now if I'm great in team battle, I'm playing ranked against these super sweats, then the cheating. And it's just like, look, you got a problem. This is the prediction I set as a Destiny fan. You're only as good with live service games as your live team. There's the people who build out the new content, like Staten and those guys. They may be working on the expansion and they're working on the endless and all whatever. People, if you ain't ended by now, come on, stop. You should, don't get mad at it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, they're working on this, and all this stuff. But it's like the guys that are in the day-to-day that got to deal with this, and then you've got this awful monetization model that you can't even buy a separate helmet. You got to buy a whole package of a whole ensemble of things for $15. Like, it's just, and if you're not nimble and agile enough, you will get left behind. And that's what PC is showing me. On console, they seem to be okay. But PC, they're not dealing with these issues. They're not dealing with cheating. They're not dealing with your bad monetization. They're not dealing with server issues. They're not. So you better get it together or else.
Yeah.
That's what I got to say.
Yeah, it's why, for me, I'm a little less alarmed, and I'll explain why. But it is why on certain topics on my personal channel, Mr. Matty Plays, I would
fire channel, by the way.
Thank you. I would bring up these things. A lot of people were like, "You're just clicking Halo Infinite. You just want viewership." Even though I'll upload a Dying Light review and it'll do double my normal Xbox news. It's almost like I just give a fuck about what Xbox is doing.
Talk to him.
But I highlighted some of these things. I made a whole video dedicated to how bad the monetization was in Halo Infinite. I was like, I don't care. It's free to play. This is fucking terrible. And a lot of people were like, no, man, come on, man. It's not that bad. It's just this thing. There was a lot of that. It's just missing Slayer. It's not anymore, but you get my point. It's just a free-to-play shop. It's just aimbots. There was a lot of things hitting them from all angles, and it began to snowball. So that's a big reason why you're seeing the player base dip. But here's my glass half full take. I'm not too concerned.
Oh, break it up. But take me off the edge.
Yeah.
Let me go.
I don't think I can take anyone off the edge because I think both sides are valid here. If you're concerned, I think this game should overall be doing well, but they don't have the progression system to keep a player base. And right now, I love Halo Infinite. I was playing last night. Love Halo Infinite. Coming in, playing a couple matches. Such an amazing set of gameplay systems.
Core is amazing.
Right. But that's the thing. We got a core with no meat on it. It's really hard to make the argument. If someone came to me and went, should I play Halo Infinite or should I play MCC multiplayer? Really tough reason to give them why they should be going into Infinite with its problems, its monetization, which I know they've slashed the prices. But just when you look at the collective experience that MCC offers, it's really hard to make this argument. Here's why you should go to Infinite. Not only that, but on a personal level, these Infinite cosmetics are already fucking dumb. I'm sorry, man. I'm already tired of seeing cybernetic mohawks. Dudes on fire is one thing, but this the pink,
bad fire
neon,
animation.
Visors. Cat ears. I'm like, I thought we were going to be at season 8 when I got this shit. We're doing this at season 1? What's this game going to look like? I'm sorry, but playing it is just distracting now. I can't stand it. But I know that's a personal gripe. The reason why I'm just overall not concerned is, as I said, progression is right now we got a big issue with the launch of this game where the battle pass is too slow. Then they put so many systems in there that apparently for a lot of people, it's too fast. We get a lot of occasional write-ins about that, about the idea that they're done with the battle pass. And that's the thing is, I think a lot of people are done with the battle pass. I have a friend who stopped playing Halo Infinite because he's done. And that's why the real numbers will be told in, I'm hoping, season 2, when we've got a progression system that says, hey, It's not just the battle pass. It's match after match. You're getting XP for things. These score points that we're counting up actually amount to something because progression is the heartbeat of multiplayer. I know it's tough to say because
100.
Halo Infinite's a standing example of how even with amazing gameplay mechanics, a household name, everything working for you, that if progression's not there to keep pulling you along, people will leave. They'll leave. But I think they'll come back. That's the thing. I think they'll come back because Halo Infinite's undeniably fun. But right now, there's just too many other options, not only underneath its own umbrella with Halo MCC, but elsewhere. And they got a lot of problems. So I think, Cog, I'm not trying to talk you off the edge here because I do think there's reason to be concerned, but I also think there's reason not to be. Like when I saw websites, I got to call them out. When I saw a website saying Halo Infinite falls out of the top 5 most played, I click and it's number 6. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. That is stupid of you to do. That is so absurdly misleading. And I'm a goddamn YouTuber. Okay. Like, come on. Really? Top 5 to number 6. Like if it was 7 or 8, I'd be like, all right, I guess it's kind of falling out of the pack. It fell one spot to Roblox, one of the most popular games. And is it really bad to be in the top 10 on Xbox? I don't know. My friend had one interesting argument. I want to know what you think, and I'll dish it back to you.
Break it down.
He was kind of bothered by the headlines too. And he was like, look, what I don't like is that the campaign came out. A lot of people moved to Game Pass. So of course the Steam numbers are going to dip. Do you agree with that idea? Do you think there is that many people? Because I don't know.
I don't know because my feelings. I still feel those are two separate bases. I don't personally see that. I don't have the data to prove it. I don't see it. I just think the reason why I'm frustrated is only because it's like I'm always going to stay on them on the PC side. Like I just want that component to be fixed. I'm not worried about the console dude. Console dude is good. I'm looking at still doing what it's doing. I just feel like, yo, you got to get this right for the PC community. You haven't been doing right by the PC community. And here's a slam dunk. You know what I mean? Like free to play and your game is good. Your game is good. Like, it's not that your game is trash. Like, your game is good. So it's just like, yo, you got to get on this, man. You got to be nimble. You got to be agile. You got to be reactionary. Now, I did hear some of, I guess, the anti-cheat, some stuff is coming at the end of the month. But it's like, we got to be, but you said it best. Progression, investment. People have to feel the reason to stay in here, and they got to do a bit better than just some mohawks and and the thing. And I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just a bad look when you're feeding your store, you're changing the prices late, and then the anti-cheat system and the fixing of aimbots is coming late February, and you've moved back your roadmap. It's bad. It's a bad look. You can't be doing that.
But can I get a Duke some credit? Please. Again, we were the ones that said this thing's coming on in hot. Mm-hmm. Right? We the one, and this is what happens now. So it's like, you got the short term, you got the millions, you got the, I get it, but you better hope that's not at the expense of the long tail. Mm-hmm. And you ending this, you want this to be a run. That's why I'm never against the delay, because I want you to ship at your best. And we still don't have Forge. We still, co-op is going to get delayed even further. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my rant's over, but I just wanted to, for the people who was like, no, bro, you don't delay. These are the things that start to add up, mm-hmm. And you just got to keep your eye open. That's all.
Yeah, I completely agree. So we'll see where it goes. Curious to see when they're going to bring co-op in, because that's supposed to be next, right? Season, or they say it was season 2 co-op was coming, and then season 3 was Forge, and now that's been delayed. Yeah, they delayed the announcement of the plans. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Number 4, this isn't really Xbox related. It's Nintendo again, but I thought that their words were quite interesting at a time of mergers and acquisitions. So in a time where an acquisition can strike at any moment, it is important to monitor the words of all possible participants, one of which is Nintendo, who many thought would be getting in on the fun during a time of consolidation. Quite the opposite is happening, in fact, as president of Nintendo, Shuntaro Furukawa, had the following to say to Bloomberg when asked if his company is in the buyer's market. Quote, "Our brand was built upon products crafted with dedication by our employees, and having a large number of people who don't possess Nintendo DNA in our group would not be a plus to the company," end quote. The plan for Nintendo is to inject 100 billion yen, an approximate $864.8 million US, into its current development studios. Its last studio purchase came in the form of Next Level Games, a partnership spanning back to 2005, where the team made Super Mario Strikers for the GameCube. I actually wrote this beforehand. And when I was seeing Super Mario Strikers, I was like, man, I missed that game. And now they're making a new one. So it's pretty funny. But I thought this was interesting, Cog, because we see here that Nintendo's not playing this game, and I see some people running with it, going like, "We'll see," Colin. I'm just like,
I was thinking of him. This is who I was thinking about with this.
I was just like, I mean, does Nintendo have to play this game when you got Mario, Pokemon, Zelda? Do they have to build this up? Like, they're look at their subscription service in a time of. I'm not even saying this against Colin, by the way. I'm speaking my thoughts now. I'm just ribbing Colin a little bit, but
yeah, we having fun. We having fun.
For me, I feel like we're heading again. I'm going to say it multiple times towards a subscription service based industry, right? Which sucks as a physical game collector, but I feel like that's where we're heading. Look at Nintendo's subscription service. Look what they got in there, right? It's their old stuff. They're not doing virtual console. That's done. That's a thing of the past. What they're doing here is dipping right into that nostalgia. So they don't need to go and buy teams, buy IP. They got IP that you'll pay for again. So how are you feeling about Nintendo's stance here?
They're the most unique company I've ever seen. Like they shout out to the Nintendo DNA. I just wanted to say that the DNA, like that is hilarious. But it's kind of real in the sense that like they don't have to listen to anyone. They just beat to their own drum, and they know their base to the point where it's like we sat there and laughed at like, yo, they really gonna do this Mario Kart 8 DLC? Like really, that's what we really
they put
doing.
In the expansion pass.
That's what, and like they literally reselling the Wii U catalog throughout pretty much this whole generation whenever there's gaps. But to their credit, like they have shown we don't need to play that game. We're our own thing. They're the wacky, they're the wild. And it's funny. The reason why I'm laughing with the Kyle situation because I know how much he loves the organic stuff and the internal and the nurturing stuff. And like Nintendo's kind of doing what he wants. like he should be a Nintendo fan because Nintendo's literally doing that to the core. Like that is like they are standing on their square amongst all type of pressure. But in their defense, like we kind of act like they're not dominating both Sony and Microsoft. It's weird, right? They omitted from the conversation, kind of like, they are dominating, right? And it just goes to show you that the industry is so cool that we could have three distinct companies doing things their own way and still having success. And kudos to them. I've chilled on being a mind brainwashed by them all the time. But I have to admit, the Switch was an amazing product. They got me back, with that. So yeah, salute to them. I thought it was interesting. They said, no, we good. They don't subscribe to the Nintendo DNA. They're not willing to be a part of our company. Hey, kudos to you, bro. You clearly know what you're doing because the numbers should reflect.
Yeah. They don't need to when they just passed 100 million sales on the Nintendo Switch itself. I look at games like Pokemon, which these companies like Microsoft, Sony would die to have because a simple remake for Pokemon, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, passed 14 million sales. In a week, Pokemon Legends Arceus hit almost half of that at 6.5 million, right? That's a combined 20 million sales for just those games. Think about that. That money there. Why do you need to buy anybody when you got those two there just doing that? Let's not forget about Zelda with a almost 75% attachment rate to the Nintendo Switch that wasn't packaged in. People had to buy the console and buy the game. And I know it was a launch game, but we're talking long tail. 70% of people who own that console bought that game. That's unheard of. So they have these IP that have such diehard loyalty, love, adoration, memories baked in there. And it's why I always say Nintendo is selling you nostalgia. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's great. Like we saw Earthbound's coming back. That's cool as hell. They'll talk to the right person at the right time. But overall, them selling nostalgia works for them. They don't need to play this game of getting new IP. Their old stuff has forever work, right? And the spinoffs they do, they're like, let's do, what if Mario played soccer? What if Mario played golf? these are great kind of Nintendo-like service games where they release them. They're a little bare bones. Like, I loved Mario Golf last year. It's one of my favorite games last year. One of the games that I forgot, I was like, why didn't I put that on my game of the year list? But anyway, I love that game, right? Not top 5, but top 10 for sure. And released kind of bare bones, but mechanically it's so sound. And they start to give you new courses, new golfers, and you're like, this is great. Right? You see them doing that. Wii Sports, when they announced it, they're like, Nintendo Switch Sports.
Nintendo Switch Sports
yeah.
users.
Immediately they announce it and they're like, we're planning a new content drop in the summer. And we're planning another new content drop later this year. I'm just like, oh, so this game's going to come in pretty bare bones, probably. Okay. Cool. Noted. Yeah. But that's their thing, right? They'll sell you the premium product. They'll give you the free updates, and they got you, man. They got you. Like these games, I look at something like Mario Golf, and it's not a game. You can tell when a game is expensive, right? You look at it and you're like, yeah, this was pricey. That game didn't look that way, and we're talking about like one of the top publishers in the game. So I thought that these comments were especially enlightening because, like, I just feel like they're in a whole different world of their own in a lot of ways, right? We talk about them being in the Stone Age, but they're also in a world of their own financially. Like, they don't need to play the games that other companies play.
Yeah, and I think what it is it's what I consider an understanding of self. And the thing that we don't give them enough credit for is, even though I know I personally like the AAA experiences, the more mature experiences, stuff like that, they, at some point, you're always a kid. There's always a kid being born into gaming. And I just think they're in that slot. They're like the elementary school for everyone. Like, you start here and you have this appreciation for these amazing characters because they got a demographic that that the other two don't have. Then you couple that, which I feel with the Switch, with the portability. Like, that is huge. And they dominate that space. So it's those combinations, these amazing IPs. Listen, I've been to need a Nintendo. I don't know how they do it sometimes, but they consistently do it, man.
Absolutely. So I just thought that would be a fun little talk to have. And let's move on to number 5, our last bit of news here. GTA 6 confirmed to be in development. That doesn't mean it's their next game, Bully 2 fans, but confirmed to be in development. This comes by way of a tweet on Rockstar's official Twitter account where they write, "Many of you have been asking about a new entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. With every project, our goal is always to significantly move beyond what we've previously delivered. We're pleased to confirm that active development for the next entry in the series is underway. We look forward to sharing more as soon as we are ready, so please stay tuned to the Rockstar Newswire for official details. On behalf of our entire team, we thank you all for the support, and we cannot wait to step into the future with you." Thought this was interesting, because think of how they announced things, COG, like Red Dead Redemption 2, they just changed the profile picture, and there was a trailer, right? This announcement sounds like a hiring one to me, right? Like, this is, let's get some talent in-house for this. Very different, but surprising. Let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's part of the new wave of doing things also post-pandemic. We're still in it, but I just think, because normally we were so used to like a big bombastic, showcase all the time. And now you get a lot of these huge announcements in like a little press release and they keep it moving. But I'm with you. I think a lot of this is just, let's scoop up development talent. Let's get the word out there. We're working on it. We'll get some of the best guys and stuff like that. And this is inevitable. I mean, we all knew this was coming, as far as it's just a matter of officially them saying it. And I was like, okay, wow. They just put it out just like that,
Yep. So that's what's going on there. Just crossing my fingers that Bully 2 is next. Everyone there united arm in arm together.
Shout out to Bully 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's the report. That's the report that Bully 2 is in development. So, oh man, I will be so happy. Yeah. That's my Rockstar game.
I feel you.
All right. Well, that's all the news for this week. Now, imagine this news week without the Call of Duty stuff, and that was effectively what we had rocking into this week. So it was a pretty dry one. Thank you, Microsoft and team, for that.
Always.
Now we move on to our Game Pass / Back Compat pick of the week. I'm going this week, and I got a fresh one for y'all. One Step from Eden.
Check this out.
Mega Man Battle Network fans, this is it.
Oh,
this is it, man. Oh my gosh. So I'm late to this party. This has been out for a while. as the segment would suggest, is available on Game Pass. One Step from Eden, I don't even know what it's about. I just fired it up, and I gotta tell you all, the gameplay is just speaking to me. Think of Slay the Spire, a lot of these roguelike games where you're going from point to point on this map, but it's the Mega Man Battle Network combat system. So for those who have never played Battle Network, what happens is you have X load into a computer software, and you have a bunch of chips like cards, like attacks, your sword attack, you have your shotgun attack, et cetera, et cetera. You have all these different attacks that'll load in randomly, and you kind of go in phases until it's time to load up more chips again. It's literally that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, this is what, for those who don't know, Battle Network is one of my favorite series in gaming. I love Battle Network. So playing a game that is so obviously inspired by it was, I didn't know it existed. So you're zipping around a 10-tile battlefield. The camera's to the right of you, so you're watching it from like a side-scrolling point of view, and you're zipping in these upgrades that you're getting as you complete each encounter. So you'll get different spells like lightning. You get certain spells where you can call in like a mortar strike and nuke the whole other side of the field. You can like crack the ground next to you and throw it at someone, but you'll lose a movement tile for it. And it's just about a whole list of characters. I've only played the starter character, so I haven't gotten far enough yet. But you have this whole list of characters. Each of them have their own different play styles and set attributes and abilities that you can unlock, and trying to get to Eden. And as I kept dying, it'll say you were 1 mile from Eden. And I've never beat it yet, but I loved what I played, man. I highly recommend people try it out. For me, though, I will say this, while it's a strong recommendation for me, I'm glad Game Pass exists because I'm going to try it. I tried it out here. I think I'm going to buy this on Switch.
Oh, for the go. Yeah. Okay.
It just, the screen, it reminds me of how I felt. It's going to be a really random reference. I hope someone out there gets what I'm talking about when I say this.
Let's go.
So when I played Persona 4 Dancing All Night on my Vita, right? That was an easy platinum trophy. Like, my reaction times are great because you're looking at a tighter screen as these symbols come in from all sides of the screen.
Yeah.
I tried to play Persona 3 Dancing Moonlight on my PS4 on like a 60-inch TV. And I was just missing stuff constantly because my room's small, so I'm a little closer to my TV than I'd like to be. And I got this big TV. This is kind of that. It's such a frantic, fast battlefield, so much things happening that I was not seeing everything. So I think I need a little bit of a smaller screen that I can look down at and see the battlefield properly. But it's a good way to, this is one thing that's great about Game Pass. I know it's probably not working out for Xbox on this front, but I tested it out. I went, I love this game. I want to play some more of it. I'm going to go get it on the system that works best for me. But yeah, One Step from Eden, again, if you are a Mega Man Battle Network fan, that's the endorsement you need right there. Like, go give it a look. If you're not, just think of a roguelike game like Slay the Spire. You're going, instead of going up the tower, you're trying to get to Eden, whatever that is. And there's a lot of progression elements there. They've supported it for a while. So all of this content's just baked in. And it was a game that's been downloaded on my Xbox for a while. After finishing Trails in the Sky SC and finishing Dying Light 2 and Sifu, I was kind of in like a lull here where I was like, all right, like, I can try something I've been sitting on for a while. This was it. Very good pick up and play game as well. So that is One Step from Eden. You liking what you saw?
Yeah, it's very unique. That tile, I didn't know it was like this, almost like tile system card roguelike kind of elements. That's the thing that threw me off with it. Because when I saw the initial, it's like, oh, okay, this is good. I assumed there was going to be some other type of game, and no. I was like, no, this is actually very different than what I thought.
Sprite based, which speaks to my heart and soul.
Yeah, that's so weird. I was like, this is so
weird. But also, just for those who I want to make sure, because I mentioned card systems a lot, it is an action game. You're moving around a lot. You're reacting to things. You're pressing buttons and things are happening. So just know that it's not like
stationary and
because I did draw the comparison to Slay the Spire, but that's really in infrastructure. So
good point.
Check that out over on Game Pass. I love the cover art for it, just on a side note.
Yeah, cover art's pretty cool.
Let's get into our 5 final questions of the show, Cog. This might be in record time. We're looking at a below 3-hour show here. This is, I'm sure Ben and Dustin will be thrilled, but but I mean, for us, it's like, what? Well, I'm going to have an extra hour to my day and I'm not going to know what to do with it. I'm going to have to stare at the ceiling.
And think about this. This is, we would have had this prior to without the big news of Microsoft. Imagine if we didn't have that. It would have been crazy.
Dude, we were looking at a 2-hour show for sure. All right, Frank T writes in, Hey, Shaggy Matty and Leonard Roberts Cog. We seem to talk a lot about what will happen if Activision purchase goes through, but let's look at the other side of things. How would Xbox respond if regulators stop the acquisition? Would Xbox stay aggressive and try to get a smaller, but smaller in quotes, publisher like EA, who's worth around $40 billion? Or would they give up on publishers and just stick to the small acquisitions like IOI, Crytek, Asobo, etc.? For once in your life, have a decent day. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, thank you, Frank. Showing some mercy out here in the front with the Dukes. Good question. I love that this question came in now, right?
Yeah,
because he's with the acquisition, what if it doesn't go through? And I firmly believe that the reason why we're seeing this, I would say unprecedented, but a surprising move by Microsoft to open up Call of Duty and potentially other platforms to multiplat is because of fear that regulators may get in on this and try to look at this thing sideways. To his question, if it doesn't go through, right? I still think they're aggressive. EA, no, because EA kind of come out and said, hey, we're looking to buy. We're looking to, whatever. So I could see that, the usual suspects that we've always been saying, the Crystals, the IOs, the Segas, I could totally see them still doing that and making a move. I'm still going to want the WBs, if that doesn't happen and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, that's really all I got on it. I could totally see that still happening. And to be honest, even after, if it does go through, I could still see a couple of those sneaking in after. But I think right now, as I've been saying on LP, the feds are watching. The block is hot. You got to be careful right now. Everything, all hands on deck. They got all their hogs in one room.
Yeah, really.
They got their best and top hogs in there, man. And they got to make that thing rock. But what you think?
Yeah, I think stop it or let it go through. They're going to keep buying studios for sure. I think they'll stay aggressive. Like if one publisher doesn't go through, they're going to see if they can get another. I don't think it stops with Activision on any front. I think it's very well possible that, again, I said I don't want to bow out and not talk about it, but everything is on the table to me with these acquisition talks ever since this, because it was such a game changer in my eyes where I could see them, this is approved, and they're like, let's get Ubisoft. Let's get Ubisoft in there. Like
I was about to say it too. You just remember, I was about to say them too.
Yeah, I feel like anything's possible. And that if this argument of them being third in revenue and with PlayStation now announcing their Spartacus and it looks competitive, and that might even open the door for them to really go gung-ho, because now it's like, look how competitive things are. And we still have Ubisoft. Let's go get someone, I could see them really running away with some acquisitions after Activision. I do agree with you. If I could predict anything about it, I feel like, they'll stay quiet until that's a done deal. I'd be shocked if they were really, unless they got like an amazing deal in front of them where it's like, IO Interactive wants to sell for $5 million. It's like, well, okay, then sure. Right. Obviously that would never happen, but I'm just saying if they had something obvious like that, I think they'll leap on it. But it's interesting because we always talk about the defensive purchase, right? Like right now, if you're Tencent, are you really like snaking around now? Now both these companies got their hands tied a little bit. Do you start looking at that? It's possible, right? Possible. But for the Xbox side of things, I don't think they give up on publishers, whether this goes through or not.
Fair enough.
Nicholas Brillhart's our next write-in. Greetings, Dukes of Hazzard. With last week's brief dip into the Marvel game conversation, I'm curious what each of your dream pairing of comic book IP and a developer is. Personally, I want to see Arcane Studios take on Daredevil. I just bought another Iron Lord's 10K shirt kind of day.
That's an inside joke. Salute. They were Messi in the room. That's so funny what happened there. I like this, Nicholas. I like this. First of all, before I start, how do you feel about that arcade? You're Bat. You're the man without fear. You're literally Mr. Daredevil.
I think if I were Xbox, if you're gonna give a superhero IP to any team, it's them.
Okay.
I think they need it the most. I think they would work with it the most. I feel like they need that, especially. Granted, I'm talking in a pre-Redfall world. So I won't go too gung-ho on it. Maybe that's a hit for them. We'll see. I'm staying open-minded to it.
Fair enough.
But if it's not a Deathloop, man, Oh, I'm gonna be. You guys thought I was bad at the end of last year.
Oh God,
Oh man,
you're never gonna hit the end of it.
if this game sucks, oh man. Oh, I'm gonna have some fun. Anyway, please
Then
continue.
we're gonna have the retro the fall of arcade. we're gonna have a retrospective.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be that guy.
I feel that. Look, for me, y'all know I'm a fan of that character right there.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Norrin Rad, Silver Surfer. So I was thinking about it. Shout out to Nicholas. It made me think about this. I think for me, this is hard because for Silver Surfer, he's such a dynamic character. It's like, how do you represent him? Because you represent him as this, I went back to the old NES game to see how they did, and I was like, that game was terrible, by the way. But it was hard as hell. It was hard as hell. It was the size. It was awful. But salute to them for even trying to do something with the license. But how do you do it? And I don't want first person. I do want to see the character. Do you make it a shooter, whatever? But I will say this: I do want the visual flair. And I looked at all the Xbox game studios. Who's the right choice for this? I'm gonna surprise you with this. I'm gonna go initiative.
Oh.
I'm gonna go initiative because the reason why I go initiative is because it seems that Crystal might be, in that realm, and we know, Daryl Gallagher, and they're helping on Perfect Dark. And then I look at, Idos too, and those guys, and I look at people who have relationships with some superhero games that have good graphical fidelity. And with Crystal Dynamics, you got Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then obviously then they have a hand in the Marvel Avengers as far as graphical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this game has to look good first. It has to be a looker for me. You know what I'm saying? And then they can go with their take on it. So I'm gonna go initiative, man. I think you outsource. You give them the mantle, you give them a shot at it, and whether you have some shooting aspects and stuff like that. And I want a cinematic feel kind of thing. And I like what Crystal be doing sometimes. So that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, for me, man, it's no one from Marvel, and it's no one from DC. It's from the sewers. Yeah. I am. I don't know why these guys are getting done dirty in the gaming space, but it's time for that to stop. Hopefully, with Shredder's Revenge, wherever that game is, hopefully they do it. But for those who are audio listeners, by the way, it's my Turtles in Time Raphael action figure. Love me some Raph, my favorite turtle. But
what's your favorite? Okay, that's what's up.
Okay, so here's the problem that I have here, Cog.
Let's go.
My picks for a great action game developer have sort of been whittled away here. So we got the Ninja Turtles, and my original pick was Rocksteady.
Okay.
It's been 8 years since they released a game.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. Yeah.
And their last game that came out, Cog, I liked Arkham Knight a lot, actually, but it wasn't Arkham City level. It wasn't Arkham Asylum level. It was another good game in the Arkham series, kind of like how a lot of people described Origins, which I thought was better in a lot of things that they had done. But that would have been my first pick. But now it's like, I don't know. I wasn't crazy about what I saw with Suicide Squad. Now it's delayed to 2023. So we're looking at a long wait for that. Will it be worth it? Maybe my thoughts change. But right now, I don't feel like I can trust them. My other pick would have been PlatinumGames.
Ooh.
They had their chance, and they fucking blew it. So thank you, Activision, for that. Now you're in-house. You get to hear from me personally.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I'm kind of stuck here where I have a IP I would use in a heartbeat, but I don't really have the developer. If I were to pick one, though, off the dome.
Let's go. Off the top.
Off the top, really. Just like this is off the cuff. Going Capcom. Give me the DMC, the DMC devs on the Little Ninja Turtle action. I know they do the typical like one versus a room full of enemies type of thing, which you could do with the Ninja Turtles game. Obviously, I think it'd be best if you could do like co-op with all four turtles there fighting together. But if we could get the DMC devs involved with the gadgets the turtles have and the type of combat that they do, I think we might have something here. A little bit of anime flair in there wouldn't hurt, because that's the thing. The Ninja Turtles, man, they're so popular. They were so successful in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Even the early 2000s. And then Nickelodeon got a hold of them, just made them so kid-friendly. I don't care what okay, here's the thing.
Let's go.
I have respect for the 2012 TMNT series. I get it. A lot of people like it. Man, they
Mm-hmm.
softened my boys up something fierce. If you, I hate to be that guy, but if anyone has
Let's
not
go.
read TMNT comics, do yourself a favor. Read The Last Ronin and tell me that that is not as good as what you are seeing on screen with the Rise, Ninja Turtles Rise, or whatever the hell they're calling it. Like these kid shows.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles used to always have an edge. Like this was a gritty, easy T for teen type of game that you could get. Sad series too. And I feel like they've just continuously whittled them down. Even Shredder's Revenge. I got a little bit of a preemptive complaint here is that when they come
Oh,
back, it's always it's the pixel art. It's the thing that you
pixel
knew.
arty.
And look, like I get it, right? Here
Yeah.
I am holding the Turtles in Time. One of my favorite beat 'em ups. I got the arcade cabinet out there. Like,
Woo, my man got the
yeah,
cabinet. That's what I'm talking about. That's
yeah,
that
I get it.
love.
I'm pulling Phil here. I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. What I'm saying effectively is this is a series that's so absurdly untapped, in my opinion. And you could, like, if someone made a open world Last Ronin game, oh my word, you wouldn't even have to put Ninja Turtles in that title. They should, but
Good.
you could literally just call it The Last Ronin, show that it's a Ninja Turtle, and you would have something there. For those who don't know, I won't spoil who it is, but it's a story about all the Ninja Turtles are dead in this dystopian future city, and one Ninja Turtle's out for revenge, and they're like killing people. It's fucking sick.
So fire.
So I'm going on a lot here. I'll keep it short. Give me a TMNT game from an actual competent AAA dev.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I respect it.
Kevin Fosh is up next. Hey, Matty and Cog, my question is regarding The Initiative, the studio that's going to be working on a Silver Surfer game, it appears.
Yeah.
A few months ago, we had heard from them about their partnership with Crystal Dynamics. Since then, I've been keeping my eye on the studio to see if there were any more details that would surface. Recently, Jez Corden revealed that Certain Affinity is also assisting in Perfect Dark.
Oh, wow.
With two big studios helping the initiative, you'd think the game would be in great shape. However, I've noticed a massive decline in their workforce. At the end of 2021, they had roughly 80 to 85 employees on LinkedIn. They're now sitting at 55, down 30% in about 2 to 3 months. What do you think is happening over there? Are they completely reliant on Crystal Dynamics and Certain Affinity? Do you think a merger is underway? Or has Perfect Dark completely been passed over to Crystal Dynamics so the initiative can work on something else?
Good question. Good
Yes.
question. I'm going to surprise y'all. I don't
Is there?
think it's an issue. And the reason why I don't think it's an issue is I have a theory about the initiative specifically. I've been kind of tracking them a little bit more lately.
Mhm.
And I think that the name of the studio is literally telling us what they do. And I just think it's a new age of game development for them. And this outsourcing, and I literally feel that they come up with the idea,
Right.
and then we go outsource. We initiate, and then we outsource. You know what I'm saying? For whoever's gonna, bring it to execute the vision. And that's the vibe I got. The Crystal Dynamics team, we were all surprised. Like, what? This is weird. Like, is it like, is it in danger? Like, I remember the talk, and even I was like, I've never seen this before. But if you look at what Daryl Gallagher says, you look at their studio mission, like, I just think they have a different approach to game dev and how things are made. And when we're talking about numbers going in and out, I just think it's, you bring in who you want. And I just think they're moving different. And I just think it's not what we're used to from traditional game dev, because they've gone out of their way to kind of push that narrative out there a little bit. If you go to their site, go check out what they say. It's interesting. So that's what I'm going with right now. I mean, hey, I could be wrong, but it just feels different the way they are operating.
Yeah, it definitely does feel different, but I completely agree with you, Cog, that I don't think it's time to sound the alarms on the initiative, especially if their purpose is to create prototypes that are then pitched, Xbox green lights them, and then they find a perfect partner for them. That's a really interesting way to make games. That's a good way to keep ideas fresh, is to just have an idea factory of a studio that's then bringing, I mean this with all due respect, and I'm not trying to be mean, but the grunt work in, like, okay, now time to make it, time to make the thing. Because what you have there is effectively, like, you'll get these prototypes that are hopefully sound on a conceptual level. Like, here are the things we want this game to do. Here's the mechanics and the story we want to tell. And now they just got to put the Lego pieces together, because that's what game development is. Instead of buying a Lego set, you put a bunch of little pieces together and have them all work together. Like, that's what it's all about. So to me, them downsizing makes a lot of sense if that is the focus of that team. And it should be. It should be. It's definitely, unfortunately, been mired a bit by the quadruple A job listing.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's unfortunate. But for those who are in the know, who are informed, they'll know that this should be kind of, to some extent, par for the course for them.
Yeah. All I will say is, though, they do have to execute.
I agree.
If they execute and Perfect Dark is fire, then we can sit there and say, you know what? Okay, this is the way.
Yeah.
And they showed out, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. They got some talent over there. They got Gallagher. The team that they have, the initial initiative team is strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some names in there.
It's kind of actually a classic way of developing games. Like when I looked up, for example, for Retro Rebound, I always try to make sure I verify developers because I knew Activision had published this Spider-Man 2 game. But I was like, who developed it exactly? And you saw a ton of different names involved there. And there's always going to be support studios, don't get me wrong. But it kind of reminded me of that. Like Vicarious Visions was the lead studio there, but they had a lot of other teams that would help in. Just like we're seeing here at the Initiative, it's like, yeah, you have the Initiative pitching. You have Crystal Dynamics doing a lot of the work where it's an announced partnership. Now you have Certain Affinity quietly helping too. So it's kind of new for, I think, this generation, but it could also be considered old school, if you will, which is quite fitting for Perfect Dark. All right, Daniel's our next write-in. Hi, Dukes. Do you have any series that has disappointed you as much as Halo has for me? My best gaming memories are of Halo 2 LAN parties, and Halo 3 is possibly my favorite FPS campaign. For all its flaws, I put over a month of playtime into Reaches Online. Then I bought an Xbox One specifically for Master Chief Collection, which I know you and King got into. An utter waste of money, he calls it. I played about 5 games in total on the console, and it mostly gathered dust. I played the Halo 4 campaign once, and I can't remember any of it. I skipped 5 and had high hopes for Infinite, but I haven't played an open world as lifeless and devoid of meaning, and took a Banshee from one main story point to the next, and even the story, I'm having a tough time holding on. Since I built a PC instead of buying a Series X, I can't really solo queue for online with the mess that it is on PC. In any given week, I have single-digit hours I can devote to gaming, so I moved on to other things like Mass Effect 3, which I never got to when it first came out, which that's awesome on a side note.
Yeah, salute.
So all that said, I think I might be done with Halo, which makes me sad, but it's not worth my time. Have you had any such falling out of love with a series?
This is a fantastic question. Shout out to Daniel. Yeah, I know the feeling. You know, it sucks that Halo didn't feel good about it, but hey, I mean, I know the feeling when it's something you love and they either A, just go a different direction, B, you know, I know what mine is. And look, sorry, Assassin's Creed fans. It's just, that's not what I fell in love with. I remember the first time I ever saw that game. And they were talking to the gaming ninja, talking about the dude with the hoodie. And then I remember the trailer like it was yesterday, the first time I ever seen it. And he's skulking through the town. And it was like some old, like New Jerusalem type vibe, you know, but, you know, he's going through and you were literally doing stealth, but in broad daylight, you were trying to make yourself not seen. It was true assassin stealth. Yeah. That's what it was. And I loved it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they went a little with the little, what is it? I forgot that thing when they go in the future and the past. I forgot what the name of it. It's escaping me right now. You know what I'm talking about. The
Animus.
The Animus, right? I know that part got a little wonky or something. I'll get it. But the core of it was assassination and stealth. It was a stealth game at its core. This stuff now, it's like, look, they're good games. I don't want to be disrespectful. They're good games. It's just not what I fell in love. I'm not, like, the stealth is really optional. Like, you really could just go out there and get your, you know, kill on and level up, and then they got the MMO stuff. It just lost me. Yeah. You know, and I'm going to be real. This is where they really pissed me off. Say my last part. How you got Ghost of Tsushima out here doing stealth? First of all, why you ain't got Japan in Assassin's Creed? What the hell? You let these guys, you let Sucker Punch come in there, take the idea, do it better than you. Like, come on. Like, that's why I love Ghost of Tsushima. That's what I thought Assassin's Creed was going to evolve into on some level. Yeah. But I think just the annualization And then it just became, yo, we're doing it in this, we're doing it in France, we're doing it in Egypt, we're doing it each year. And I just think they got caught up in that model and the monetization. And I'm just like, y'all lost me. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to everyone that still plays it. You know, it's still a good game. It's just not the game I love.
So I hear you on that.
Where you at?
Assassin's Creed is a great answer because it's funny you mentioned this. I just picked up from GameStop. I picked up because I'm working on a video. Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster, the Ezio trilogy. I picked up Unity. Unity is one of my favorites, man. That game got done dirty.
I gotta go back to that.
That game got done dirty.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Go back to that.
You can look up my old review for those who want to listen to a 2014 review. Definitely not my best work, but I was a big fan of Unity. I even showed some of the glitches. I'm like, this game is mad good though, and I that was to me the future. And when that game got destroyed and dragged, all I'm saying is, Assassin's Creed fans, you did it to yourself. Now you've done it to yourself. Now you're getting Valhalla, which I loved Valhalla, but you know it's not the traditional stuff. And so I'm excited to go back and reconnect with the traditional AC roots because I'm sidebar here. I watch YouTubers. I'm friends with YouTubers like JV, who's a big Assassin's Creed YouTuber, or I'm sorry, Ubisoft YouTuber. I'm friends with Lasers, Tyler Dynamite. These guys are like, they kind of opened my eyes to what old Assassin's Creed was, what made it click, right? Because I love those games, but to me, it was like, as you said, like stealth, going through, and it was just to me a portal to a new time period. But hearing how
Remember
they
when you had to
spoke
hold the button, not to cut you off, sorry.
You're good.
Remember when you used to have to hold the button and you'd walk and assimilate within the crowd?
Yeah, you'd blend.
I love that.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, right? Exactly. I forgot those things, you know, because they'd walk so far from them. So I'm excited to go back. That's a perfect answer, honestly. For me, I gotta go with my boys BioWare. They walk the wrong way in my eyes with Dragon Age.
I knew he was gonna go.
They, you know, this is a series that I've practically forced myself to love, if I'm really truthfully honest with it. I'm always invested in anything BioWare, much to my ignorance. I just can't help it. The way they present their characters and their stories are always for people like me. Like, I love the way they interact. And Dragon Age 2, if you're like into the lore for Dragon Age, is great, which I like it now. Dragon Age Inquisition, I could not stand. If you just play main story content to the best of your ability, because the game has so much side stuff that it gets in the way, there are a lot of redeeming qualities, some real political tension, and the Trespasser DLC is great. So I don't want people to think like I hate this series, but it took a lot of convincing for a big fan like me to like it. And what I look at with Origins, which I think is one of the greatest RPGs ever made, Dragon Age Origins, if you have not played it, I mean, from the get-go, just the foundation it's built on is immediate, like, this is what Choice and Consequence is about. Your origin story, pick a race, and your starting to the game is different depending on which one you pick. That's amazing. To me, that was like right there. This is what you build on. It was not an action game. It was an evolution of Knights of the Old Republic. It was an evolution of what that game did, right? Where they had this real-time turn-based game, but now you could pause the game and more thoughtfully place your party members and pick moves. There was a better challenge system. It felt more fair, but it would beat you up, no problem. It was much more gritty. It was a fresh new world, clearly begging to be built off of. And they just mismanaged it. Like Dragon Age 2, I think just a name alone ruined it because it was not supposed to be a sequel. It was supposed to be a spin-off called Exodus, Dragon Age Exodus. And then they go the opposite direction in every way you could. Not turn-based, action. Not no voice and choice and consequence to voiced with very little choice. Like, they did everything they could to disembowel what Origins was. And then Inquisition rolls around. Inquisition rolls around. I remember being so hyped for this game like no one else. Like, if anyone see me during my
game of the year, I knew I was gonna piss you off. I knew that was gonna
I
get
lean
you.
against my PC for that one. Oh my god. Okay, so you would not have found anyone more excited for Dragon Age Inquisition than me, because what they were showing was like, oh, there's Liliana, oh, there's Morgan, oh my god, it's the Origins cat. Oh wait, they're doing a mix of turn-based and action. Oh, this couldn't be any better. Oh man, was I wrong. So what I learned afterwards when I was running ham radio with Carrick is that the two directors of this game directed MMOs, and they just ran with a multiplayer mode and this semi-open world BS, because Skyrim was the thing at the time, which I get. Skyrim was so influential, and they went for bloat. Like, this game is the definition of quantity over quality, which is not what BioWare is. To me, Dragon Age is the poison in the BioWare well, not Mass Effect. Because even Andromeda, it's a black sheep in my opinion. I don't like Andromeda that much, but that is a fun-ass game to play, right? And its writing is inferior in every way to the original trilogy, but you can still get enjoyment out of it. To me, with Dragon Age, it just gradually became less and less what it was. And with what we're hearing about now, Dragon Age 4, it's like I'm cautiously, I won't say optimistic, because I have to know what I'm going to be optimistic about, but this could be great if the rumors are true that this is going to be classic BioWare 30-hour replayable game, because Inquisition was like an average of 50 to 60 hours of just wasting your time with some really good story moments in the middle. So to me, that's my answer, man. Like, it's a game that, like, I played through each of them. I reviewed each of the Dragon Age games on my channel. It's available now. If anyone wants to check it out.
Salute.
And outside of Origins, I could not fathom going back to Dragon Age 2 and be like, oh, I want to play that. Oh, I want to play Inquisition. No, man, because you just know everything that's wrong with it. It's like, it was fun to go back a first time in like 6 years or 8 years and be a little more insightful on things. And there are things 100% worth appreciating, but dude, oh my God, they really walked the opposite way of where that series was going in my eyes.
No love for Inquisitor.
That was a cool mechanic. That's the thing. Yeah, it was too big of a game. If they had the true BioWare there that loved to strip down to just the bare necessities, they would have had something with Inquisition. That game would have been it. But it's everything in between that's wrong with it.
Forgive him, Solas. Forgive him, Ironbull.
Yes. Ironbull's a good character. Yeah, that's a good one.
Good character.
Yeah. Good character. All right. Last write-in comes from Yosemite Blam. Yo Definers. Long time, first time. I got a question from Matty that I've been wanting to ask since I first started watching his content. So around the time DD started up, why are you an Atlanta Falcons fan?
I need to know this.
Well, because I'm curious. I brought this in because I know it's about me, but I had to ask about your fanship on football as well.
Oh, we're going to get it. Yeah.
I say this as both an Atlantan and a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan. Why put yourself through such misery? Do you have ties to greater Atlanta area through a family member? I mean, being a Jets or Giants fan isn't much better as of late, but the Giants have had more success in the last 15 years. Again, why put yourself through this misery? Anyway, go Falcons. Maybe they can win the NFC South this coming season. And of course, go Braves, go Hawks, go Dogs, and go United. Not to leave Lord Cognito out, but I can't believe this man name-dropped Blimpie as his sandwich joint. But in his defense, finely shaven lettuce can make or break a submarine. Hope you both have a toothpaste on your shirt kind of day, Yosemite. Yeah. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Let's go. I'll just, to quickly answer it, it's really that my brother has always been a Falcons fan, and he's also from New York. I don't know what made him an Atlanta Falcons fan. I think he liked Michael Vick. You know, guy was just way different talent for its time, you know, running the ball way more and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Fun guy to watch. And that was kind of where I hopped on the bandwagon. Like, I didn't know anything about it. For me as a kid, you know, I wasn't big into sports, so it was how the jerseys and the logos looked. And that's why that's why I love the Falcons. I was like, I like their color scheme. And I love the red and black and white. And growing up, like, green's my favorite color. So you'd think I'd be a Jets fan. Thank God I did not get grandfathered into that one. Oh my God. Yeah, that would have been something bad. I'm a Mets fan already. So, but that's how I became a Celtics fan. I don't watch basketball though. I think basketball sucks. So that phase of my life is done. But Falcons fan for sure. And that's no real story behind it other than my brother brought me into it.
Salute. I love it. This is a great question. Shout out to you, Savvy. I remember seeing the name in the Discords and stuff. For me, it started, baseball was the first sport I ever got into, because I was young enough to remember that, that amazing Mets team from '86. And I just stood loyal. That was my first sports team I attached myself to. And I followed the sport and I learned the sport that way. So what I realized Being a Met fan is a lot of pain, a lot of embarrassing, crushing moments. I always feel they sold their soul for that championship. But anyway, I digress. With the other sports, you're like, why are you a Niners fan? And you like in basketball, you like the Bulls. In hockey, you like the Penguins. Like, what is going on with these guys?
I don't like that last one. But
I know. But I'll give you the real quick breakdowns on it. It's very quick. So Mets, born and raised in New York. After the Mets, I said I am not dealing with any of this level of pain from New York. Period. The next sport for me was basketball, because basketball, I pretty much played, and I was a fan of players. I was a fan of, I like the way Dominique Wilkins dunks. I like the way Michael Jordan does this. So I didn't really have to be, I'm brutally honest, I didn't really have a team. I was just a fan. I would just watch the sport and watch players. And then obviously Jordan is Jordan, we know. And then Derrick Rose, I became a fan. And I just said, all right, I'm just staying there. You know what I'm saying? I just like what's going on. So that's how Chicago happened. 49ers is what you said. Football I was young, I remember it, but it was so complicated, and I was young, I didn't know what was going on, to be honest. And I was just like, I like that red and gold uniform, though. Yeah. I was like, that look hot with my outfit. Like, I remember, I'm from an era, and the OGs will remember this, starter jackets. I don't know if you guys remember starter jackets. They were hoodies, and they had the NFL team logos, and it was a big thing in New York. If you, like, it was a sign. Like, I remember King had a starter jacket. And it was like your favorite, whatever your sports team was. And it cost money. Like, if you had a people would rob people for starter jacket. It was a big thing. Oh, bro. So I remember when I got my first, I was like, with the Niners one, with the red, with the gold letters. And I wore that thing every day, man. I probably had it too long, how much I love that jacket. But that's how the Niners thing. And then I used to just watch. And I remember, and I was a fan of Steve Young. Montana was retiring. When I watched Montana, everybody's like, he's the great. The first game I ever watched Joe Montana, he got knocked out the game by the Giants. And I was like, oh, God, he's out of the season. And I was like, who's this Steve Young guy? Why does everybody hate him? He's pretty good to me. And that's how I stayed loyal. I just rock with them. And the Pittsburgh thing is funny because I never played hockey, didn't know the sport. I got to shout out video games. If it wasn't for EA's NHL 93 and then NHL 94, which is the GOAT as far as I'm concerned, as far as games I played, and they had the player's license, the team license, and I didn't know anything. And I was just like, I like the colors on this team. Who was this number 66?
Yeah.
Who's this number 68? Who's this number 10? I remember that. So I would beat people. The game was so fun and good, and I was just good with that team. It was Lemieux, Yager, Ron Francis, Ulf Samuelson, Kenny Reggett was the goalie. I was beating cats in NHL 94. I was nice. And I just learned the sport and I started to like it. And I went to games. I'm like, hockey is better in person to go to a game. Hockey is fire. Hockey is one of the best sports to go live to. And there's this, I got to give this last gem. When it really hit for me, where I had to stay loyal to, I know you hate Pittsburgh Penguins, I know. But where I had to stay loyal, bro, the first hockey game I go to, I'm like, can you take me to it? Whenever the Penguins play the Rangers, I want to go.
Don't tell me you walked in the home building with Penguins gear on. You walk into MSG with Penguins gear on, man?
I'm that guy. So I come, but bro, this is why it was magical for me. This is why I had to stay loyal.
Oh, no.
First time ever. Mario Lemieux scores 5 goals in the game.
Okay.
I'm like, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest thing. Power play, penalty killing, open net. I'm like, oh my God, he's God. You couldn't tell me anything about Mario Lemieux after that. I was like, y'all don't want to hear it. I was like, Gretzky fan, shut up. I was like, if it wasn't for cancer, my man would have been. I'm that guy. So I'm ridiculous. I know your rage. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. That was my first experience. It was my only joint. So, I'm still loyal. So that's my lineage.
I respect the loyalty. It's funny the way you discovered the Penguins. I think I've said this before. Is the way I discovered the Oilers. Like I was playing NHL 10 on the 360.
So we got the Gretzky Lemieux beef.
Yeah. And I remember the only team, I don't know why they weren't even ranked that good, but the only team I was good with was the Oilers, and that's who I was beating people up with. So I decided to become a fan of. What's up?
The Messier era?
No, that was in 2010. That was when, I became a fan during their darkest days. This was
the dark.
Pre Connor McDavid. This was
Got you.
This
Okay.
was when they were drafting #1 overall picks. Like, it was nobody's business, and everyone they were getting was a bust. Like, no one was panning out for us. It was incredible to watch. But I thought to myself when I became a fan, I was like, well, you can't be a bandwagoner for this team. So I'm getting on nice and early. And I didn't think, but clearly I wasn't thinking long term, because now here we are. It's been 7 years into the Connor McDavid era, and I'm just like, whoa, man, this guy. We got to figure something out here. This man, we got to get him a cup somehow. This man deserves it. But all these deals they've been signing have been fucking terrible. And I don't know, man. I'm getting a little nervous that my guy McDavid's getting impatient. But I feel you on discovering them through a game and bringing you closer to the sport. To me, it brought me to playing the sport. Like that's something that I did for a while. So it's you think it's fun to watch. It's more fun to play.
Yeah.
Minus the contact. That can be a little
minus the contact. And I can't skate for that. But salute to y'all. That was that. It's a great sport to watch, and I got so much respect for the players. You know what I mean, for sure.
Dude, it's hardcore. It's hardcore. I mean,
yeah. They get it in. They get it in. That and rugby. Rugby is probably the wildest sport I ever watched.
Yeah,
like that. Man, I seen him do with his mouth bust wide open, leg twisted, and the play continuing. They hopping over his body. They don't care what's going on.
They don't, man. At least with hockey, they stop the play.
It's not the play.
Yeah. You'd be surprised, though. Like, a lot of it comes down to not even raw strength. Like, for me, when I was working out, I was going and playing a lot. I was like, I got to work out, get bigger so I don't get knocked off the puck. Obviously, that's a part of it, but I was still getting pushed off. And I learned it's a balancing game, man. I had to work on balance, because then it's like, you're immovable at a certain point.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good feeling.
And last thing I'll say, I like the breakaway. It's probably one of the more exciting things. As a person who plays basketball, I relate to hockey in that respect, because it's like the basketball is the fast break. You get off with a fast. It's an exciting thing. For hockey, to me, it's like, intercept the pass, cross the line. He's break well over. And then I love stick play. So if you could deke and move, and I like one time is that part of the game. That's the connection for me that I really got into it through video games. I'm like, I love this sport.
Yeah. You should watch Connor McDavid highlights. That's
I gotta watch your boy.
Wait, have you watched any of it before?
Oh
God. You like stick handling? You haven't seen this guy? Oh,
I'm cash.
No,
I'm
no problem. I respect
it.
it. I'm just saying, dude. Like, this guy will do things with his hands that you're gonna look at and go, "How?
Crazy?
How?
Crazy?" See, I like that. And your boy's a win. What's your boy?
He's a center.
Oh, I'm like him then. I love the offensive.
He's the next
players.
great, in my opinion. He's the next great.
Let me watch it, boy.
Yeah. I'll pull up a little.
Send me some.
I'll pull up a little Connor McDavid highlights. You'll see, man. This guy. I'm not even gonna watch this video. I'm just gonna let it.
Stick play, offensive talent, skill, passing. That's my bag. So if your boy's doing, it sound like he's doing that. I'm in.
This man may challenge your Penguins fanship here, but
don't listen. I did like to Sid the kid get busy too. I'm just saying.
He's the kid. That's the thing. That's the kind of talk, is that like he's the next Sidney Crosby kind of player, where it's like, he just changes the game when he's on the ice effectively.
I love players like that. I love raw talent and skill. I watch it.
Anyway, Yosemite, thank you so much for the question. Thank you everyone else who wrote into this under 3 hour defining beer. We did it.
We did it.
There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Cog, our hashtag for the week.
Oh, you got something?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Multi-plat.
Yeah, let's do. Yeah, I mean, that's the talk. I mean, we wouldn't have had a show if it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What was the verbiage they used? Yeah, we could just go multiply with it. But I was just curious if they use any funny verb. I thought.
I'm trying to say, they said other popular Activision Blizzard titles.
I think you got it, bro.
We'll do multiplat DD.
Yeah, I think you got it.
All right. So we're over on Twitter at G7status, at Lord Cognito. You can tag us. Let us know your thoughts on the show with the hashtag multiplatDD. If social media ain't your thing, then go ahead, throw it away in the comments down below or on the Patreon post, whatever works for you. Fire away. We're looking forward to hearing from you and your thoughts on the episode. Cog, any closing thoughts, or shall we wrap it up here?
No, fantastic episode, man. It's another fun one. Salute to everybody, the Patreon. Salute to people on Twitter. Obviously, and the hashtag's crazy, man. They really be showing out, and it's cool to see. But yeah, fun show, man. As always, the Duke, put your Dukes up. We had another good one, Loved it, man. That's all I got.
Absolutely. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week for episode 59 of Defining Duke. Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.